Yeah? What's up, everyone? This is the Brainless One. This is episode 293, and we are definitely here for the 7th annual Markie Awards. I'm just waiting for Jay to pop in. We got a good amount of categories this year. I'm excited for this. It's one of my favorite shows of the year. Um, I'm just excited. There's some of the news that we could try to get through. We'll try to get through that as quickly as we can. We want to plow through these categories as quickest as possible, and so we can get to SmackDown because the GOAT of WWE, John Cena, will be making his return tonight on SmackDown to wrestle his first match of 2022. So I'm excited for that. Interesting match, too. It's going to be him and Kevin Owens. That whole exchange was pretty funny a couple weeks ago. I'm sorry about missing last week. I had other obligations I got to. But I thought it was interesting how they did the thing with the whole John Cena. He had the video, and it's going to be him and Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn tonight. I'm curious. There's a lot of things a lot of questions I actually have. Is this going to be, what's going to happen tonight? Are we going to finally see the eventual dismantling of the bloodline? Are we going to, what are we going to see? We're going to see implosion between Kevin Owens and John Cena. Is John Cena going to announce himself for the Royal Rumble tonight? I know Jay beat everybody to it because he already announced himself for the Royal Rumble, or he's going to announce himself for the Royal Rumble because he does it every year. We got to keep up traditions, Jay. But yeah, I'm interested. I'm excited for tonight's show, as I said. So yeah, honestly, there's the news and notes for this week. Geez, I don't even know. Let's see. We could talk about until we get. Let's see. Where gets my notes. I think that is J. Yes. There we go. Here we go. Really? There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Jay?
Hey, the one night of the year I dress up for the show, and you
Yes,
too.
damn Skippy. And I want to tell oh, that ain't. I let everybody down this week. I'll be honest. I You'll get a kick out of this. You're not going to believe what happened to me this week.
What happened to you this week?
Popped for COVID for a 5th time.
Wow.
So now I am officially the Booker T of COVID. And I'll tell you right now,
Nice.
I cannot dig that sucker. But
How you feeling?
I feel like, I feel like shit. I've gotten better as the week has progressed. I have done everything in my power to rest my voice all week so that I can trek on this show because it was going to be a cold day in hell. COVID-19 and Dr. Fauci was going to have to put me in the ER to get me to not be here for this show tonight. Now, I might not be I might not have the Colt 45, but I do have the nectar of the gods to make up for it. I had to have at least the Mountain Dew to make up for this. So.
Nice.
But, I mean,
Swig a beer for the working man. What?
Yeah, I mean, we got the Markies, the Markie Awards tonight. We got our Hall of Fame. Do you want to plow through some news and notes, whatever is there, real quick?
Yeah. Let's go through a few things, news and notes wise. Unfortunately, despite the joyous occasion of the Markie Awards, we do have to start off the show on a somber note. former TNA commentator, also did some behind-the-scenes work. Don West passed away. He had been battling lymphoma for several years now and put up a good fight for a long time, but unfortunately, his fight came to an end, at least on Earth. And I hope he believes in the big guy, and I hope he's not feeling pain and starting his life in eternity.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I was talking to Mike Rainey about this before the show, and I honestly hate cancer. Cancer is just it's terrible. I can't explain how many people, because in my family, cancer and heart disease are the two biggest killers of my family. So I have a personal opinion about cancer because I've lost too many people that I cared about too much to cancer. So, it's unfortunate, and he was one of the, as somebody who was just a novice and very, I wasn't very knowledgeable of TNA. I knew about Don West, and he was very good at what he did. He had a great voice for it. He was a very smart man for what he did. I did a lot of research on him. It's a shame because he was very talented and very good at what he did, and all the outcry that came out for him has just been incredible. So it's a sad day in professional wrestling.
I went to a couple of TNA shows in my day, and one in particular, I want to say that their December pay-per-view is called Final Destination. I went to Final Destination 12 years ago, and at that point, Don West had moved out of the commentary role and had been put in charge of like sales and merchandising for the company. And I remember during I think it was pre-show and during intermission, he was the hype man trying to sell the different things that they had, and he had like the $20 bag that you could buy. Like going, hey, just go to the stand, $20, and you ended up, I forget if it was one or two T-shirts. So you got a T-shirt, you got like one of those bags that you could fit all your stuff into, and ended up, I believe it was with 3 different TNA DVDs. And I mean, I forget which DVDs I got, but all of them were freaking stellar. Like I think one of them was probably like the best of 2009, and there were a couple of other pay-per-view DVDs within the collection. But I mean, I watched them a lot, but in part it was because Don West came out and hyped it up. I mean,
right.
He was a pitch man, he was a hype man, back in the day. Like he was like competing with like Billy Mays to do commercials like that.
Hi, Billy Mays here.
So, it's just a bummer. It's like he spent
What's up, Mike?
a good amount of time in the professional wrestling business. He seems to be beloved by just about everybody who ever came in contact with him, which for professional wrestling is pretty rare. Usually somebody's got a bone to pick somewhere about something. So,
yeah,
one of the true gentlemen of the sport of wrestling, Don West, passes away at the age of 59. Way too young.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. F and Mark's Hall of Famer, Jeff Snyder, is watching.
Yeah?
Yeah!
What else, what other news and notes should we, do we have to cover?
So I thought it was interesting. There were a few what I would consider minor injuries that happened within WWE in the past week, one of which was last Friday on SmackDown. Ricochet got potatoed big time and got a freaking giant lump on his head and a bunch of stitches from that Miracle on 34th Street fight. It was entertaining, but poor Ricochet, man, that thing, like, anything touches that, it like reverberates throughout your freaking brain.
Right.
So we got that. I mean, overall, he seems like he's doing okay, and probably won't miss a ton of time. I think they said that he had to miss like a couple of house shows, or at least they had to rearrange the matches specifically because they didn't want him performing with an injury like that.
Right.
So
and then
there's that.
We got AJ Styles, right?
AJ Styles, allegedly, it sounds like it might be an ankle injury, but he was in the middle of the match with Finn Balor, ends up getting like backflipped out of the ring, and next thing you know, he's just down on the ground. And so
threw up the X.
And that was that. Nothing known about the severity of the injury. Kind of sucks, though, that we are, like 4 weeks away from the Rumble. So, I mean, does this call into jeopardy AJ Styles? Like, AJ this year is not going to be at the top of the card for, like, WrestleMania or Royal Rumble. But, I mean, he has a storyline going, and getting on the big shows is certainly the thing that they're going for. So, AJ, I mean, we'll see about the severity of this injury, but, I'm thinking, you got a dude like Cooper Kupp in the NFL who had a high ankle sprain, and he missed the last, 2 months of the year? So, yeah, well, I mean, hopefully it's not something that bad. Hopefully he'll be able to kind of tape it up and perform. But, the thing is, if you're a wrestler and you've got a leg injuries are more or less like you can't do anything about it. If you can't walk, you can't, put together a good match.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly, Mike.
Especially when you got somebody like AJ Styles, who a lot of his moveset is working with his legs. The calf crusher. He needs to jump off when he's doing the style, the phenomenal forearm. And you got to hold somebody up for the Styles Clash, too. You need your leg if you're AJ Styles, especially, somebody else we just lost this week, Pele. You have the Pele kick that he delivers. So I am also in agreement. I hope it's nothing too serious with him. And then lastly, we have an injury to one Bray Wyatt, who just had his first match on Monday at a house show against Jinder Mahal.
Against the Jinder.
And then we find out last night he broke his finger in a match.
Against the Jinder. Apparently he had 4 matches this week, and it's clearly to knock some ring rust off. Yeah. But they want to, as far as televised matches, make Bray's appearances feel special. So
he's going to be the special attraction guy.
Right. And one of the special attractions it sounds like we're going to get is a pitch black match at the Royal Rumble. Allegedly, that's going to involve one Bray Wyatt. I'm going to guess against LA Knight because they've been building this thing for a long time. So, yeah, it definitely.
All right. It looks like
going to be interesting.
Jeff wants to get in, Jay. Let's see how this goes. Keep your fingers crossed. Let's see how this goes.
So, yeah.
Yeah? Well, what do you know?
Yeah!
What's up, Jeff?
What's going on, guys?
The Marks Hall of Famer El Jefe in the building.
Hey, guys.
Yeah,
I was talking with Jay at lunch today, and we planned on surprising you a little bit here. So
very good.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's my birthday present for my birthday to you.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm always, and the thing is, I'm so skeptical with like bringing in multiple people because I don't know how it's going to work. But let's see how it goes.
All right.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah!
Yeah! All right. Is there any other news and notes that we need to cover?
All right, so let's see. Elimination Chamber. It appears, and I believe this is what's going to happen. They're going to find a way to get the Intercontinental title off Gunther without making him look weak. Apparently, for Elimination Chamber, Gunther will be defending the Intercontinental Championship. If you have Gunther as one of the first two participants in the match, and you have him run the gamut and, like, at the very end lose, or you know, if you have Brock Lesnar come and break the cage open and destroy Gunther and he ends up losing the title, he will not look bad in that regard if they want to jumpstart the Gunther versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. So, I mean, I think that booking-wise, it makes a lot of sense. You don't make him look weak before he goes against Brock.
I was so caught. Oh, we lost Jay. I was so caught off guard when they announced that he was going to be in the Elimination Chamber as one of the 6 guys in the match, and that the WWE nor the Universal Championship was going to be in the match. But now that, you know, Jay is, you know, kind of sprung this, it actually makes a lot of sense because this is your best way to get the title off of Gunther without having him look bad. What do you think about this?
I mean, like, because, you know, they want to beef up. I feel like they want to pass the torch with Brock to Gunther. I hate calling him that. It's Walter. But so I do think that's a good idea to get the belt off of him without making him look bad. Because obviously, I mean, it's Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar kicks everyone's ass, right?
Right.
I mean, like, there's not a single person who's not had their ass beat by Brock Lesnar in WWE. Every person he gets in the ring with, he kills them. So,
and I'll say this, and him and Gunther are gonna could have a very good match, as long as they don't do the typical stuff that they're notorious for doing with him, and, you know, having Brock Lesnar just blow through him in 5 minutes like he does at WrestleMania. So, I'm call me skeptical just because of the fact that I don't know because this is all still new with Triple H getting into this and everything, and I'm still trying to get a feel for how booking's going to go. This is a very big, very important moment for Triple H in this regime now that Vince is out of the way, because this is your first big Royal Rumble. You're setting up for your first big WrestleMania. You're doing it in Hollywood. Oh, excuse me. You have a chance to have The Rock and Steve Austin and John Cena and Logan Paul and you name whoever you can, Bad Bunny.
If Logan Paul's not in prison, I guess. Yeah.
But this is a big opportunity. This is a big chance for Triple H and this regime to do something here, especially after Vince McMahon fucked everything up last year at WrestleMania by putting both belts on Roman Reigns when it was a stupid decision to put it on him, both of them on him in the first place.
He was thinking the problem with Vince is he's so short term.
Yeah.
And he just never thought – he thought looking too far into the future would be detrimental for whatever reason, even though, like, history shows that's actually a good idea in wrestling. I agree. Triple H, this is a big moment for Triple H. It's a big moment for Hunter, and he and how he does here is going to kind of set the tone for the rest of this. And he, look at his NXT track record. He does have a sense of when to pull the trigger on guys and when they should get their push. You look at Gargano, who was a scrappy underdog. He made him the scrappiest of scrappy underdogs for years before he finally got there. Sami Zayn was the same way. And then you got guys like Kevin Owens, who he really was like, okay, this guy needs to be the guy immediately. Right. Samoa Joe was the same way.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
He knows when a star is a star. He knows when the star is getting over with the audience. He knows how that feels. Yeah. He knows exactly how that feels. It helps that like Vince was never really a wrestler. I mean, he wrestled matches, but he really wasn't a wrestler.
Right.
Triple H is a wrestler. He's done this. He knows the game, literally the game, through and through.
I see what you did there.
And he just having his perspective as someone who's wrestled, as someone with power just flickered, as someone who's wrestled, as someone who's booked for years now. This isn't like a new thing for him. He's been booking shit for 8 years, 9 years now, and he probably before that. Mm-hmm. So it will be interesting to see, but I have a lot of confidence in him. I really do. I mean, not everything's gonna hit. That's how wrestling is gonna be, but I have confidence in him on the big things for sure.
Well, my biggest thing, Jeff, and this is something that we're going to discuss in a few weeks when we get together for the Royal Rumble show, because that's, again, another one of my favorite shows during the year.
I mean, we do that in person because I'll be there for it.
I'm gonna bust my ass to make sure it happens. Okay. So, but one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately is it not coming through, Jay? It's not coming through for some weird reason, Jay. But like right now, and the betting favorite to win the Royal Rumble is Cody Rhodes. Sami Zayn is number 2, and The Rock is 3. I'm worried because if the rumors that are coming out now that they're going to eventually split the belts from Roman, and they're going to do either Rollins versus either McIntyre or Cody, and if The Rock can't be there, then Cody takes the spot of The Rock on night 2 for the Universal Championship. My question is, and this is something I'm going to bring up when we do the Royal Rumble podcast, is because WWE made the mistake 9 years ago when they should have had when they should have had Daniel Bryan win the Royal Rumble, but instead they had Batista do it, when Batista should not have been in that match. I get the fact that he was as hot as he was, but in the wrestling world, Daniel Bryan was the hottest name in professional wrestling at that time.
Yeah. Honestly, if it were now, I'd be okay with Batista getting that spot because how big of a star he's become in just entertainment. I mean, he's a better actor than Dwayne, that's for sure. But But yeah, to your point, I mean, like, I see why there'd be some skepticism with that. I mean, there's a track record, and you know how Stephanie's just like her father, so she's probably going to want to push for The Rock, who's probably not doing anything right now since he got kicked out of DC. So, I mean, he's got the XFL coming up. He has to promote the XFL in reminding the wrestling audience that he's got that. You know. I think that plays a part in it. Like, so they've talked about 3 people they really want to get for WrestleMania: John Cena, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock. And Stone Cold is seen to be the one that will definitely show up, whether or not he has a match. I hope. Who knows at this point? Sorry, I'd rather see him go and beat the crap out of somebody. Like what Kevin Owens last year, that was perfect. I don't need any more.
Agreed.
But they're putting it John Cena and Rock at probable for showing up. Cena has commitments basically going up through March, but the rumor going around today is that it is penciled in for Logan Paul to go against John Cena at WrestleMania.
You guys know what's going on with him, right?
No.
Logan Paul. Apparently, there's his NFT thing was a scam. Weird.
Shocked.
And I guess he's embezzled. He's under investigation for embezzling millions of dollars. So this is like FTX, but kind of like a baby FTX.
Right.
So just be on the lookout for that. Logan Paul is not available.
I've been arguing that Cena shouldn't be fighting Logan Paul in the first place. It should be John Cena versus, I know you're not going to like this, but it should be Cena in Theory. Because they've already planted that seed. Theory is on this roll right now, and I'm curious to see how he's going to keep going as the heel that he is. Kind of more of this badass instead of the stupid selfie-taking douchebag that he was before.
The Tyler Breeze knockoff.
That's Tyler Breeze knockoff,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's a waste if you're having Cena show up to fight Logan Paul. And it's no disrespect to Logan Paul, because the man has impressed me in his 3 matches in WWE thus far, that I have no issues with him having matches. He's just not – no, you're wasting Cena on Logan Paul. I'm sorry.
And this goes back to a conversation, Brainless One, we had a couple of weeks ago, where if Logan Paul is legit in, like all in for WWE, I can understand this. If Logan Paul is just going to be, a part-timer or, a glorified part-timer,
yeah,
like I don't see the worth in this, because when you have John Cena and you get him like once a year, couple times a year at this point, you want to use him to build up somebody who's going to be a new star. If Logan Paul plans on being with WWE for the next 10 to 15 years,
right.
If he doesn't go to jail for embezzlement or fraud or whatever, and you want to turn him into like a bona fide main event player, yes, put him in the ring with John Cena. But if he is going to show up 3 or 4 times a year, this is a waste of John Cena.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think if he is all in, fine. I think I agree with you, Jay, on that. Like, if he's going to be at least more than half the year part of this, yeah, do it. Do it with John Cena. Make it a series if you fucking want to. I mean, they're both big megastars now. I mean, the money match for me would be Logan Paul versus Bad Bunny, but I don't think that would ever happen. Even though I think they can both hold their own. I think they're both pretty competent.
Right.
Just based off the one Bunny match, I know he's competent, and Logan Paul is competent. I actually interviewed Candice LeRae a few weeks ago, and we talked about how Logan, and I never posted it anywhere. I probably will eventually, but I talked to Candice a few weeks ago, and she told me he's just a natural athlete. That's pretty much what it comes down to. It's like how Kurt Angle was. He caught on immediately. You have a penchant for athleticism. You have a penchant for showmanship. You're going to get there.
Right.
And Logan Paul has.
Yeah.
And I think he's a big star no matter what.
Right.
It's very nice to see he's not there just to bone it in. Unlike
Agreed.
his brother who gets punched in the face and says he wins.
Or your father, Papa Drew.
Yeah.
Papa Drew.
Hey man, he's a WWE Hall of Famer.
All right. So
you are Neff and Mark's Hall of Famer, which I think should be held in higher regard.
I mean, they're both fake anyway, so it doesn't matter.
But hey, ours is more real than the WWE's.
I agree,
because we're all real.
Because we're all the panel is us.
Exactly. Hey, that's okay. That means there's no.
It's
corruption.
better than when it was Vince, and Vince putting Coco Beware in because he happened to be in a video game that was coming out that year.
Real quick. So Jessica asked the question. With the eventual dropping of the titles from the Usos, who do you see Jimmy and Jay dropping them to? As what team do you think takes the titles from them?
Good question.
So, based off the rumor for their match at WrestleMania, I am going to go with Captain Cupcake and Sami Zayn.
Do you think
that's the current?
I mean, do you think that the Oos spoil is that going to come to a head at Rumble? Do you think that's coming to a head at Elimination Chamber or whatever it is?
So tonight, I mean, they're having that tag team match where it's Roman with Sammy versus Cena and Captain Cupcake.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know if we're going to start seeing like the wheels turning tonight as far as that goes, or if like there's going to be something that happens tonight and then something at the Rumble.
Right.
That will do that. Hey, we got Chris Brown saying he thinks it's going to be FTR because FTR keeps on losing all the 20 championships they have.
And it's funny too because FTR's contract does end sometime around WrestleMania.
Hey man.
Oh, I didn't even think
they could be like the Hardy Boys 5 years ago.
And Triple H loves
6
them.
years.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, Hunter loves them, but they're going to be in a good spot.
And
I can see that happening.
I'll tell you, these rumors started coming out, and I thought it was interesting. A few weeks ago, there was rumors that when Tommaso Ciampa comes back from his neck injury, that they're going to reunite him and Johnny Gargano to, bring back DIY. And if they did that, I'm telling you, FTR and DIY was one of the best tag teams, if not the best tag team rivalries down in NXT, and I love to see that on the main roster.
If they do that, I'm watching. I'll go back to watching every week if they do that. I'm dead serious. Yeah. I mean, that's some dream stuff, that because they were so good, and the Undisputed Era too, and just that whole era of NXT was so good, and things have changed a little bit. I mean, who's the NXT champion? I can't even tell you.
It is Braun Breaker.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's Scott Steiner's kid. What's her name?
Rick Steiner's kid. Rick Steiner. But
Rick Steiner's a nice guy.
While you're talking about the Undisputed Era, I just have to point out that Bobby Fish was at the first New Year's party when it was Adam, Eve, Cain, Abel, and Bobby Fish.
He was there.
He was there, and then it was I think the third or fourth one, Ric Flair was there too. So Ric Flair documentary came out on Peacock. I have not tuned into it yet.
I haven't, and I don't plan on it.
I think I want to watch it so I could. I mean, once I watch it, I'm sure Ric Flair's explanation for the sexual harassment charges from the plane ride from hell, I'm sure that will put him in my brainless or bad for that week. Maybe even both.
Yeah, you could probably do both for that one. Didn't he do it for Dark Side of the Ring, or am I misremembering that?
He didn't have anything for Dark Side of the Ring. He
Tommy Dreamer who got in trouble for it.
Because of the shit that came out about the plane ride that Tommy Dreamer had said. So all it did was make Ric Flair look like a piece of shit that everybody already knew.
I mean, everyone knows Ric Flair's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
At least he gave Doug drinks at one time.
Right. I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
And I've seen videos where people have approached him and he wouldn't buy them drinks.
Right.
So
it's more. Well, Doug knew how to do it. Ric Flair was like, "Oh man,
Doug.
I'll get you later," and then he did.
See, Doug knows what he's doing. That's why.
Yeah. Douglas.
Exactly.
Our Doug.
Yeah.
Our Doug.
All right. Any other notes?
So again, a couple of other WrestleMania possibilities here. They're talking. As far as possible main events, Seth Franklin Rollins going against either Drew McIntyre or Cody Rhodes, and this is specifically for the WWE Championship.
So, where do you think he's going to win it? Before, because there's Elimination Chamber, there's Royal Rumble. They have not set a match for Roman for Royal Rumble. I mean, if they really wanted to have a lot of fun, although I think they were just there, if they had an MSG house show and they wanted to take the title off him at a house show. That would be cool. That's been done a long time.
They just had the house show on Monday, was at Madison Square Garden, unfortunately.
That would have been the opportunity.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was supposed to be night one or day one or whatever the frig that stupid one and done pay-per-view. Yeah.
It was H.
But that was where Bray Wyatt came back.
If they end up having a house show, let's say in Los Angeles or Chicago, that could be another possibility where hey Roman, we need you to do this house show and we need you to lose the title. That way he loses the title, but it's not in front of the millions and millions. of people who watch.
I've heard one rumor going out there. Thank you, Alexa. I heard one rumor is that if there's a way that they could find out, like if Roman does something so nefarious, either heading into or like the night of the Royal Rumble, like whatever happens between him and Kevin Owens, if that is the route they do go, there has been talk that they said that they might even do a thing where they make Roman enter the Royal Rumble and defend the WWE Championship like he did in 2016. That would work.
Triple H.
Like, I don't like the way you did this thing. Like, you attacked Sami Zayn. You beat Kevin this way. I don't like this. You're a dick. Whatever it was, and then they make him defend it that way. The Elimination Chamber is your best bet, but it's WWE. Triple H wants to make a big splash. He wants to do something big. I am convinced of it. And I think that's the route you go. You take the belt off from that way. But I think it ends up happening at the Elimination Chamber, if I'm being honest. Huge.
So there's that, and the other rumor is it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes or The Rock.
Adrenaline in my soul.
So what do we get from this? Cody Rhodes is going to be in the championship match, which tells us that he feels like he's going to win the Royal Rumble.
It also makes me feel that Cody Rhodes, spoiler alert, Cody Rhodes is the heavy favorite heading into the 8th annual Markie Awards for, Wrestling of the Year for next year.
Yeah!
What's up, Nick?
What's up,
Nick? Did I come last year? I can't remember if I was here last year.
I don't remember if you were here at the Markie Awards last year.
I know you were at the one 2 years ago.
Was I?
Because that was the one that was in, that was still in Portsmouth.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't think I was on this one last year. So is that a new award, or was that invented last year?
Which one?
Yeah.
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 Wrestler of the Year.
Last year, was the catchphrase of the year.
No. Incorrect. Wrong.
Was that 2 years ago?
2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. Yeah, was catchphrase of the year.
2 years in a row.
Because I said that I had my Owen Hart moment last year when I won Markie of the Award 2 years in a row for even though,
Yeah. Shocking.
Version the pig won the stink.
That's called the shocker.
You slap a tornado with it.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. So another thing that I want to point out quickly, Shelton Benjamin celebrating 20 years in WWE. Now, he had a little bit of a stint outside of WWE, but from his debut on the main roster, it's been 20 years. Congratulations, Shelton. You know, that dude, he could work like no tomorrow. To this day, my favorite sell of Sweet Chin music.
Yeah. I was going to bring that up. I mean, he took the best Sweet Chin music of all time. It was on an episode of Raw.
Yeah.
But, think about Shelton Benjamin. Think about it. He debuted 20 years ago. Kurt Angle actually posted about Team Angle. And Team Angle was great, him and Charlie Haas, and they became the world's greatest tag team after Kurt Angle was out of the picture. And then Shelton Benjamin went on a great singles career. He never was world champion in WWE anyway.
He was an Intercontinental champion, U.S. champion.
Team champion.
He was fun to watch. He can't talk very much, but he is fun to watch in the ring.
I love Shelton Benjamin.
He's so good. He's a great, excellent athlete. Obviously, knew Brock Lesnar at University of Minnesota, but that amateur background, a lot of amateur wrestlers, for whatever reason, it translates. I don't know what it is, but it does.
And it's crazy too because there's one person who has really impressed me who had that background now is Damon Kemp, who happens to be Gable Stevenson's younger brother.
And Gable Stevenson, on the other hand,
Gable Stevenson hasn't really done anything. I mean, I know he appeared with I think it was Kurt Angle a few weeks ago for Kurt Angle.
Pronouncing his name wrong on purpose. I'm sorry.
What is it?
It's Gable Stevenson.
Is it
Oh,
Stevenson?
Yeah.
No, it's.
I thought it was being funny.
No. That's just me being brainless. So I'm not living the gimmick.
I'm still calling him Gable Stevenson anyway,
Thank you.
so it doesn't really matter. I was just making sure.
The Romneys are going to fire Tomlinson,
yeah,
even though he's somehow getting them. Even though he's somehow getting them to like 500 or over, he might get them in the playoffs.
You gotta read Pittsburgh local media sometime. They're
he's the worst.
Yeah, exactly. They compare him
I
to
hate
Marvin
this guy.
Lewis. They said he was Marvin Lewis 2.0. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, these people can never be happy. Go Browns.
It's like you barely had a losing season in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
This is just like
actually in the last 60 years, you barely had a losing season, and you've only had 3 damn coaches.
Must be nice.
What's wrong with you?
Giant fans crying on Twitter about the fact that they're 1 game away from making it to the playoffs, and they don't want the team to make it to the playoffs.
They want a draft pick? Come on.
They want the draft pick over the fact that we've had 5 years of shit of Dave Gettleman. It's still got a bad taste in my mouth.
That's okay.
Danny throwing those dimes, baby. Danny throwing those dimes.
Well, all right, so Tim Nicholas asked, how come Shelton did not get the big celebration like Ray or Orton had gotten?
I mean, Ray and Orton are on a different level than Shelton. That's just a fact. Ray and Orton, like, they could be – they're big enough names that people will always remember them. And if people who don't watch wrestling or their kids watch wrestling, they'll know their name. Shelton Benjamin's like, oh, he's a great wrestler. Cool. But that's more for us. He's more for us.
Yeah, I enjoy watching Shelton Benjamin.
While they're talking, like, I enjoyed that Dominic ended up going to Grandma and Grandpa's house for Christmas, and Ray was there, and Ray is wearing the mask. It immediately takes me back to the 24/7 title, where you've got Jinder Mahal in his wrestling tights on the golf course. Why is Ray wearing the mask when he's at it, like, his family's house?
You can't break kayfabe, even though WCW did it in like 1999.
Yes, because we forgot that Rey Mysterio once upon a time didn't have a mask on.
Yeah.
We don't know what Ray's face looks like. He is a hideous creature that has been burned by a fire.
Oh,
never mind.
My stupid 11-year-old has to eat that shit, so.
Oh, man.
But you know what? I love seeing the Mysterios during the holidays, where Dominic Mysterio decided that he needed to beat the crap out of his dad at Thanksgiving because he put up his decorations already. Yes. And he shows up in it for Christmas with Rhea, and Dad has his mask on, always in the gimmick.
I'm gonna tell you what though. I talked to Rhea a couple weeks, about a month ago. I'm gonna post these interviews somewhere. They're gonna be a little outdated, but they'll be on YouTube eventually. You guys can check those out. We'll link it next time. But I talked to Rhea a few weeks ago. It was for a story for work that didn't end up panning out because tragedy happened around here. But anyway, so talk to her. I'm just running in circles. She loves working with Rey Mysterio. She loves it. She learns a lot from him, and she thinks she's in a good spot with the storyline right now because it's guaranteed TV time.
And I'll say this, with all this talk that everybody's had with Dominic Mysterio has been, we're talking about Dominic and Rhea, and everybody's chiming in on the chat. Spoiler alert, Dominic Mysterio did not win my worst wrestler of the year.
That's crazy. Wow. I can't wait for this.
I even thought about it. I said, there's no way. Because I will say this. Dom Mysterio debuted over 2 years ago.
And he still sucks.
Okay? He still sucks.
Yeah.
But I will say this. At least he has consistently stayed the same, where there's other people who have been doing it longer than him who suck a lot more than he ever did. That one was an easy one. Once I used my brain somewhere.
Fair enough.
Somewhere.
To be fair.
All right, so what do you think? Should we we have anything else, or should we start getting into the Markie Awards?
I think that's all I got.
All right. I can't wait because I get to just throw out random names, but
yeah,
I do have a few ideas.
That's great. Brainless One, I'll have you name off the categories, and I will. Yeah.
Okay. And I have all of Nicole's Markie Awards herself too. So we have 2 Hall of Fame votes and 2 hosting votes, and
Perfect.
any other Hall of Famers and fans that want to chime in, because I know Chris Brown has a few at least. I can tell you.
Mark's Hall of Famer,
so,
Chris Brown, is that correct?
I feel like, Jay, we have to come up with a monumental, historic first Markie Award. And I'm telling you right now, this is the biggest one that we have. Bigger than Match of the Year, Pay-Per-View of the Year, Mark out.
Wettest Hair of the Year.
Wettest Hair of the Year award is the first one up there.
The Grease of the Year?
The Grease
I love this.
of the Year. And for me, I have, no surprising, for 7 years running, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns.
Sterner. Well, he's my pick too because he's always Grease. And remember when he said he was going to get a haircut? I mean, I was going to be very upset. I was already upset he changed his song.
If he shaves his head, I don't know if I'm going to continue on with this category next year and give it to somebody else or just retire.
It would have to be Rollins after that.
It's got
I mean,
or Neville. What did he call himself? Pac? Yeah.
That wasn't that wasn't water. That was milk.
Oh, okay.
The leader of the Hostess Heroes.
Oh, wait, hold on. He's not the leader of Hostess Heroes.
So one of the things we've talked about is on the show is the Hostess Heroes is a stable with Kevin Owens, Captain Cupcake, with Pac, aka Neville,
the Keebler Elf.
Yeah,
I like that. It's like a merger.
I would have said Dominic about 2 weeks ago when he tried acting like Eddie. Yeah. Even after when he came in, Dominic had said that he was this, or Eddie Guerrero was there.
He's Eddie's son.
So. Oh God. No, that was bad. All right, so congratulations to Roman Reigns, 7 years running.
He is undisputed
He is
champion.
He's the only wrestler or anybody else, the only person to win an award in 7 straight years. Nobody else has done it.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely amazing. Roman Reigns, congratulations. Your hair is still really wet. Whether you're a tribal chief, a big dog, or part of the Shield, you, Roman Reigns, have the wettest hair.
Turner.
And maybe that's why.
All right. So that's a clean sweep once again for Roman Reigns. I'm shocked. All right. So now we get into the real business at hand. I think we should start off with the 2 categories for tag teams. One, who is the best tag team, and who has your vote for the worst tag team of 2022. I'll have Nicole start this one. Nicole, for her, she said that her tag team of the year was FTR, holding the AAA, Ring of Honor, and New Japan titles all at once. And the fact that they put out banger after banger matches with every tag team on planet Earth that was not in AEW for the titles. And her worst tag team, she's got Maximum Male Models. I am stunned she didn't go with Los Lotharios.
I 100% agree with the effing wife, Nicole.
Wow.
100% agree. FTR held multiple championships, and like their matches with the Briscoe brothers, their matches with the Acclaimed, their matches with the Hardleys. I mean, they've been epic.
Yes.
It sucks that, they didn't end up having like a AEW like long-term title reign, but. And I want to say that their title reign for tag team champions in AEW wasn't even this year. But FTR is like everything you want in a tag team. That they could talk, that they could go in the ring, and they held championships basically every day of the year until yesterday.
Okay.
I mean, you can't not pick FTR. I mean, that's like that. You can't even say anybody else. It wouldn't even be fair.
The Usos are the only other team.
I agree with that. I mean, like, yeah, but FTR, just the in-ring run they had itself. I mean, Usos are cool. Don't get me wrong. They've been cool for years. But FTR really just match after match, banger after banger. You're not going to get that with the Usos all the time. You're going to get that every time with FTR.
I can't argue that. But I mean, they're 1 and 2, and they're light years ahead of everybody else. But and I'll tell you right now, you guys, then I must be wrong.
And that is nothing against like the Acclaimed.
No.
Oh, they're great.
Which is funny because the Acclaimed's my tag team of the year. I'm going to give it to
them,
and I'll tell you why. Because a year ago, I couldn't stand Max Caster worth a shit. I thought he was annoying, and I thought he was a punk, and I didn't like him at all. I said Bowens can go in the ring once he can like figure out how to get a personality, and he's really developed, and I have really enjoyed watching them as a tag team. They've started to grow on me. They're super over. Max Caster has figured it out, other than the last rap he did on Wednesday, on how to be entertaining without being a prick. They're the tag team champions. They have been the most progressive tag team for me since last year, and I had to give it to them because they're the AEW tag team champions. I understand that FTR had the tag team titles for Japan, Mexico, and Ring of Honor, but they weren't the company that they were working for as tag team champions. But that goes hand in hand with the fact that my worst tag team is the Young Bucks. Because what have they done this year?
I hate that team.
What have they done? What have the Young Bucks done this year? They held the trios titles with Kenny Omega and then dropped them because they got upset that CM Punk said they couldn't manage a target. Empty-headed dumb fucks, all three of them, and Hangman Page. But
hey, we don't talk shit about Hangman Page here. We don't talk shit about Virginia native Hangman Page.
Fair.
Yep.
Fair. I'll give you that. But honestly, other than them winning the trios titles, what have they done this year? They were suspended. When Kenny Omega was out with the injury, they weren't really relevant. They had that storyline with the Undisputed Elite, and then that kind of fell flat. Have they had any kind of a mainstay rivalry? Hangman Page even want to be their partners in the trios tournament. I think that I actually have a legitimate beef this year with the Young Bucks. They haven't done shit to earn the tag team of the year.
But that doesn't mean they're the worst.
They're the worst tag team.
Stop.
The worst.
You can't change my mind.
I'm going to go with Maximum Male Models because...
What the fuck was that?
I do like what's her name? Maxine? Is that her name?
Maxine Dupree.
Yeah, hot.
I'll say this though. My favorite thing about watching Maximum Male Models is every time Mansoor comes out, there is not a human being on planet Earth that is more dead inside than him every time he has to do anything for Maximum Male Models. I swear to you. The first time he came out and Eli Drake's there and he's titillating the senses. I was like, no, Mansoor's doing something, but he ain't titillating the senses right now.
Hey, man, that's going to get Maximum Male Models over in Saudi Arabia. So, I mean, like, it's going to help them out eventually. No offense to Mansoor. I think Mansoor is a great wrestler. I think he's a great talent.
I do too. He could have been the Saudi Taker too.
He really could have. I mean, he was undefeated.
Right.
All right, so next category, since we're on the topic of tag teams, let's expand it a little bit. And we go with the faction and the worst faction of the year. This is a new one.
Oh.
First time ever, the faction and worst faction of the year. Or worst stable, whatever you want to call it.
Stable-wise. Huh.
So for Nicole, her favorite faction for the year was the Blackpool Combat Club.
Okay.
Because at one point, all of them but Bryan Danielson were champions. Jon Moxley, honestly, was the hardest working man in AEW this past year. And they were very successful.
Yeah.
And then for her worst stable, she went with Maximum Male Models again because she wanted to count them with Maxine Dupree. I'm just convinced she really doesn't like the Maximum Male Models.
Okay.
I mean, stable. I mean, you can go really anywhere with this.
So for me, my best stable of the year, to me, is the Bloodline. I mean, they've had the championships all year. Their storyline has been relevant all year. The addition of Sami Zayn into the Bloodline has put new blood into that storyline and kept it like from feeling like freaking 2-year-old bread.
I have to agree with Jay.
For
here.
me,
it has. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jefe.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The Bloodline is the act in WWE right now, and they have been for a while. You look at Roman Reigns, the fucking double champion. You look at the fucking Uso,
double champion.
Sami Zayn, who brings so much energy back to it. I mean, and then Solo
Sikoa.
Solo Sikoa, who's going to be a star. I mean, you can't. I mean, this is like it's the Samoan evolution.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it feels like.
That's Jeff. That's a fucking good. I didn't even think of that. Oh shit.
Yeah, that's what it feels. It feels like evolution, except it's a bunch of Samoan guys and Sami Zayn.
It's like the Nation of Domination when they had Owen Hart in it.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. No, you're right. That's more. I think that's more of an accurate description, except with all the titles and stuff. I think it's like private matches though too.
If the Nation of Domination had the recognition that Evolution had, because Flair, Triple H, Bautista, and freaking
I think
Viper.
the Nation of Domination was a product of its time.
Oh, absolutely.
And they had The Rock before he was The Rock.
And they had the Ron Simmons and Mark Henry and the Godfather, all Hall of Famers.
Yeah, all one of the best factions of all time.
And I'm not saying that I'm like discounting the Nation of Domination as a faction because, like Jeff said at the time, they were light years ahead of what they were. And just hearing them from at that table of three that they did and talking about how security had to sneak them out of the building because fans wanted to attack them, I said, yeah, I mean, this is the top. This is it. This is the top faction, the most overlooked faction in that era of wrestling.
I totally agree with that because you think of
DX,
DX
and then
is
WO.
there. DX will always be the fucking Ministry of Darkness, which took a lot of people from from the Nation.
Now, that ended up leading into your favorite version of Undertaker a couple years later.
Yes, it did. But he was, I'll tell you what, Ministry Undertaker, I think he's very underrated.
The Ministry Undertaker was on a whole different level. That was the only time in his career that I fucking hated him. The only time I didn't like The Undertaker was when he was in the Ministry of Darkness.
Dude,
it's me, Austin!
That's me, Austin! I fucking love that's still the funniest shit I've ever seen. To this day, it's still my Facebook header on my Facebook page.
Damn, and now am I picking wrong? Am I thinking outside the box or something? My faction's not the Bloodline.
Really?
I got the best friends.
Okay.
And I'll
explain.
why.
Explain.
So right now, Orange Cassidy is the All-Atlantic champion for AEW. I understand that this is a brand new championship, but he's had the title for over 100 days. Cool. They've been in the trios picture a whole bunch. Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor have been in tag team matches. Chris Statlander, who's part of the Best Friends, I count her too. Chris Statlander was fighting for the women's title and the TBS championship. You had Rocky Romero come in and do some cool things. They were fighting at Forbidden Door and all this stuff. And, oh, by the way, they have Danhausen. And you got to love that Danhausen. And you know what? I have to give an award to the Best Friends because I don't want to get cursed. So, so the Best Friends got my faction of the year. And
it's not a bad choice.
I've been a fan of them since the beginning of AEW. And I just love the maturation of them as a faction.
Yeah.
And just even like adding Chris Statlander, who really was kind of lost in the shuffle, and they brought her in to be part of them, and just the camaraderie and everything. I love them. They're just they're just best friends.
Yeah, see, that's one thing Tony does well, I think, is that he lets things kind of breathe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that is one thing Tony does very well. And if he keeps building on that, he's going to be fine. But, it's still a lot of growing pains with that.
And since we're on the topic of AEW,
they're
going to win that division, though. Watch out for Jacksonville. They're going to lose. They're going to lose.
It's going to be Jacksonville versus the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Oh God, no! Please, well, anything to Philadelphia or Dallas, but since we're on the topic of AEW,
I like Dallas, man,
and shit. Since we're on the topic of AEW, my worst stable, Jay, take a guess.
Hey, a few weeks ago on the podcast, this was the stable that I said was, and I agree with you 100%, the Elite, the worst stable, the worst stable.
Jay,
the Elite is the worst. Are you going with QT Marshall? Are you going with QT Marshall?
Of course I'm going with QT Marshall. Why wouldn't I have the Factory? The Factory is the dumbest fucking stable in the history of stables. And that's only because whatever the fuck they're doing with Swerve Strickland, with putting him with Barker Bedreau, who couldn't wrestle a fucking bag of potatoes, and some guy who was a baseball player who now looks like the Birdman Chris Anderson. I have no idea what the hell that is. I'm not even going to talk about the Wingmen because that's not a real faction. That's just four jobbers that are working together that suck. The Factory is just I can't even explain to you how bad the Factory is because it is that bad. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
I'm going with the Elite specifically because of all of the shit that happened because of them behind the scenes. AEW has survived in spite of them. When they came back to programming, their segments went because you know what? Like, as much as I enjoyed the Young Bucks as like Generation Me, I enjoyed the Young Bucks like when they were in TNA, when they were in Ring of Honor, and when they were doing their own thing. Now they just feel like self-important douches, just like Kenny Omega.
Yes.
As much as they could go in the ring, they have done so much. As much as Cody is not saying too much about exactly why he left AEW, to me it feels pretty clear it was them. It was them who made him decide about a year ago, I'm getting the F out of here because I see this train going off the tracks. Not only is it going off the tracks, but I see somebody putting dynamite on the tracks. You see what I did there? See what I did?
Someone put dynamite on the tracks on a rampage. We're doing that
but you put like those three with the combustible element known as CM Punk CM Punk is nitroglycerin to wherever he goes.
and cousin Chris
Not
too, Jack. Don't forget cousin Chris.
Right. Who looks like a super bloated Miz, by the way.
Oh God!
But they caused so much havoc within the company that they helped start. I mean, it's extremely similar, not exactly the same, but similar to the NWO, where the NWO really took WCW to new heights, but also at the same time, because they rode that horse into the freaking ground, it killed WCW at the same time. I'm hoping Tony Khan has done enough to prevent that from happening with AEW. I know he's got Papa Khan's money to make sure that they're all right. But the Elite gets my worst faction of the year. The
worst.
Well, Jay, I agree with you on that. I mean, I have been a big fan of, the Elite for a long time. And, I love Kenny Omega and his work, and Young Bucks didn't bother me. I didn't think they were the greatest thing in the world, but they weren't like how Bobby was with them. So, but this year, it just all, the house of cards, started to collapse. You think of, you bring up a good point with WCW and NWO. I mean, obviously Kevin Nash didn't have all that booking power before, when he first got there, but the Bucks have. And then, the whole CM Punk thing. I mean, CM Punk's a fucking douchebag. We all fucking know it. But at the same time, they handle it so poorly. It looks so bad for everybody.
Yep.
And there were fans who were just so put off by it that it took a little bit for AEW to even recover from it.
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately, I think they kind of have creatively, but that was like a bomb that went off in that locker room, and it just made the product worse. It's one thing you have a locker room beef, and it doesn't really spread to the product.
Right.
This was another level. They
stripped their newly crowned AEW champion and their newly crowned Trios champion simultaneously.
Yeah. No, I mean this was a major embarrassment.
Yeah.
And it's because of the Elite, because they were involved in this. I'm not saying it's all their fault. I'm saying their involvement in this caused
a lot of issues.
Bad time for AEW, and honestly, they're lucky that their fans are very loyal.
Yeah.
Because
psychotic too.
Yeah, because this would have killed any lesser promotion.
Agreed.
It would have.
100% agree. And especially because you can't have guys who call themselves executive vice presidents going into employees' locker rooms, not just random employees, their own employees, and looking for a fight. It's not a good look.
We bring up Triple H, Triple Paul or whatever. He would never do that. I don't think he would ever do that. I mean, maybe early in his tenure, he may have done something like that, but you live and learn with this kind of shit, So, you just gotta there's a reason certain wrestlers get it. William Regal being there helped them a ton. It did. And it sucks that they lost him, because they really could benefit from his wisdom and his intelligence about the business going forward. Honestly, he should be in one of these.
He's a manly man.
Not these kids. To be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree on that. It's just unfortunate. I never would have put them in the spot that they were in. And even when Cody left, he even admitted, he goes, I was too big for my britches to take on the executive vice president role. He goes, that was a lot for me to handle, and part of the reason why I left.
Cody's life did change a lot during his time. Yeah. I mean, he did have his daughter, and his priorities changed for him. But at the same time, you're asking to do a lot. I mean, it worked out totally in Cody's favor.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the highest paid guys in WWE. He's a fucking major star.
He's
going to win. He's going to be world champion in
absolutely.
WWE. That's not even a question at this point.
Baby.
Yeah, and he's just so good. But you just look at AEW and like you don't blame him for leaving.
Right.
You can't. I mean,
the
Tony
son of
will
a
get.
bummer.
But I think with the Tony's a good businessman. He'll get it. He'll eventually get it. But if something like this happens again, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
So he's got to get the reins on these guys. Hire some actual good like having Jeff Jarrett there is gonna be very helpful as well.
Well,
and he put Shivani in like a position of power now.
Yeah,
like Shivani was an announcer, and Shivani's been around the business long enough to know when and on top of the fact that like part of what they did with Moxley and Jericho and Danielson is kind of like give them kind of the cachet to be able to do things in the locker room before it gets up to that next level, where before it was like, you got the Bucks and Kenny and back, a year and a half ago, Cody, whereas if there's a problem within the locker room, you're not going to mess with those like 4 dudes. You're just not. And if somebody was friends with them, you're not going to mess with the friends of them.
Well,
so
it also doesn't help the fact that you have a lot of people, and I bet you this is part of the reason why Regal left. He won't admit it because Regal's too proud of a dude to do it. But
he's a manly man.
He probably went in there and was like, "You guys can turn to me and ask me for advice." CM Punk said, people like Hangman Page won't ask for advice. Billy Gunn has come out and said, my one issue with the people in the locker room is that nobody comes up to ask for help and advice to better themselves because they just want to sit out there and do their trampoline wrestling, as Jim Cornette would say. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was part of it. And the fact is that you got Kenny and the Bucks who can sit there and control the narrative, so to speak, by plugging to Dave Meltzer whatever they want to get out in this situation because Meltzer's on their side. Because there's 3 guarantees in life. Death, taxes, and Dave Meltzer's going to give Okada and Omega 47 stars in the Tokyo Dome.
It was good.
Because he jerked off.
Actually, read Dave's tweets. He's a little. He gets a little pissed at them.
Wait.
He's not on their side. I don't think he's on anyone's side.
I heard that Brian Alvarez and a couple other people went to Dave's office and helped him clean.
Probably.
I'm curious how many people actually showed up.
Probably like 3. Probably Alvarez and Brian and Vinny. Or not Brian, Craig.
Yeah.
I actually don't subscribe to them anymore because, I don't really, need it anymore. So.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah, but I'm always going to be a big Dave guy. So.
All right.
Shit.
Brainless One.
What do we got? How about next one? We go with the best and worst storylines of 2022. For Nicole, the best storyline for Nicole was MJF this entire year. Just the way that they handled the whole MJF thing, building up the way he did, the rivalry with CM Punk, the whole rivalry with Wardlow, and that whole storyline leading up to them at Double or Nothing, where we got the Power Bomb Symphony, and then MJF winning as the Joker, the All Out, and unveiling it, and then winning the AEW Championship. So Nicole said MJF as a whole for 2022 was her storyline for the year. Her worst storyline, she went with Schism down in NXT because Joe Gacy is, quote, the black hole of NXT.
Wow. I mean, I'm going to agree with Nicole for the MJF thing because how many matches has he had this year on TV? Not many.
Not many.
I think he actually tweeted, I had 5 matches this year or something like that. You don't get to do that without having good storytelling behind you. You don't get to do that being a full-timer without having every single one of your matches feel like a big fucking deal because he's such a fucking asshole. And everyone wants to see him get his comeuppance, but he never does. Like, he's better than you.
And you know it.
And you know it. He's so good.
The only time he got his comeuppance was Wardlow, and that was when there was all that fiasco.
Yes. Wardlow, good guy. I interviewed him too.
Yeah?
That actually is up on television. If you check out wavy.com, you can go see that interview with Michael Wardlow. Search AEW.
Oh, God, I forgot about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Worst storyline, anything to do with the multiple personality changes to Lacey Evans all fucking year.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, yeah.
I really like that. I'm going to go in a different direction when it comes to the worst. You know, and like when I was prepping for the show, like I tried to come up with a few different choices for myself for the different categories. Best like storyline, I had a couple of them. Like I'm like Bloodline overall, good storyline throughout the year. Punk and MJF, their specific storyline was great, but one for me that transcended them all was Cody Rhodes, because his storyline crossed across multiple organizations. Not only did it go across multiple organizations, but he ended up having one of the greatest re-debuts in wrestling history. And even though he's been out for half the year, fucking him and Seth Rollins, are you shitting me? The 3 matches were all awesome. In that last one, like the pain that dude went through.
Yeah.
Because he said, no, I'm making this match effing happen. I'm an effing mark for myself. This is happening. So I'm going with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes' story for the year. The fact that, like, when he came back, he told the story of, like, my dad came here to win the WWF championship. He never got it done. This is what I'm here to do. And that's the story. And that's the story of when he's hinted at it, part of the reason why he left AEW. He's like, I booked myself into a box because I could not be the champion unless I turned heel and went against my word. Yeah. And I didn't want to do that. So I'm going with Cody Rhodes.
Okay. Jeff? Jefe, I should say. I'm sorry.
Storyline of the year? I mean, I think I said I agree with the MJF thing.
MJF, that's right.
Yeah. So we're going with that.
For me, the storyline of the year was Sami Zayn joining the Bloodline.
That's a good one.
Because the Bloodline was where they were before, and they were obviously the top faction in WWE. But you added Sami Zayn, and not only has he added another element to the equation, but look at what has happened. They had plans set out that it was going to be Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns months ago, and they put it on the back burner and told Kevin Owens to go sit in catering and eat cupcakes, you fat piece of shit. And Sami Zayn has been killing it. So I got to say that's storyline of the year for me. Adding Sami Zayn to the Bloodline.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got for worst stable? Or worst storyline, I'm sorry.
I'm going with the Spooky Pals and Edge.
Spooky Pals. Oh, he wasn't here for it. Oh, we got to do it when he comes back. Spooky Pals.
I don't know where to start with, like, how shitty that was. I mean, like, You have Edge start this stable. They are undefeated with Edge as their leader, and they turn on him as an undefeated stable, saying he wasn't leading them correctly. Only a handful of weeks after they start the stable. It's about the dumbest thing that's ever happened. As much as WWE denies, I happen to believe when you hear the stories about Edge not liking the fact that they went supernatural with the story, and to me it felt like they prematurely ended Edge as the head of the Spooky Pals. That whole shit was just ridiculous.
Not to mention, with the Spooky Pals, they added Rey Mysterio's dipshit son. So, like, they just replaced Adam Edge with him. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why would you make this actively worse?
The best part is Jeff was off, not even in this. He comes in and hears Spooky Pals and adds in there exactly what was needed at the back end of this debate and whole conversation. This is why, sir, you are not only in it, but you represented it with such great pride of being an F. Marks Hall of Famer, Jeff.
Exactly. Like,
Spooky Pals.
It's like, what the fuck? What is this? Like, what's the point of this? Like, I get Dom Mysterio's like a thing now. I mean, it's been a couple of years. I'm surprised that wasn't like a 3-month thing, to be completely honest with you. You can't wrestle. He sucks. But if he learned to wrestle with other people his size, I think he'd be fine. But he tried to wrestle like his dad, and that's just not going to happen.
I never want to see him do the 619, period.
It doesn't work if you're over 5'3". So, like, why the hell are you trying this?
It's like watching me try to deliver the 619.
It's like watching me trying to deliver 619. My fat 6'2" ass trying to do 619. Imagine that shit.
I know I'm tripping halfway across the ring, so.
I just want to see the both of you give an avalanche and request a 5 count.
Done. And for me, for the worst storyline, I'm sorry. How is this not even mentioned? How is it not brought up? But I'm going to say this real quickly. In my life, I've been a wrestling fan for 34 years. I have cried 4 times because of professional wrestling. The day I found out Andre the Giant died, the day I found out Owen Hart died, the day I found out Eddie Guerrero died, and April 4th of 2022. I bet you're all wondering why I said April 4th of 2022. It could be the 5th. It's one of those 2 days off the top of my head right now. Because it was when Kevin Owens was in the ring and he had a microphone the night after WrestleMania, and some beardless Cousin Larry-looking motherfucker came down the aisle and got into the ring. And when I realized that sack of shit was who I thought it was, I cried. When I saw beardless Elias, I cried. So the redacted storyline is the worst storyline of 2022, and it's not even close.
Does redacted mean Ezekiel?
Yes.
Okay. Because it is pretty fucking bad.
All because Rick Boogs is shredded and fucking can lift 700 pounds. And
it's completely stupid. Rick Boogs plays electric guitar and fucking Elias plays acoustic. It's 2 different things.
I don't like it, pal.
I don't need 2 guitar players, pal.
To Ezekiel, pal.
We can make it a 3-man band, pals.
Yeah, that's why I'm just so happy that Vince is gone.
Yeah.
I was supposed to interview Elias. I was actually supposed to interview Elias a few weeks ago. That fell through. I actually ended up getting Otis instead. But he, I would have asked him a lot about that because that could not have been a highlight of his career by any means.
Right.
So, I mean, I have to agree with you, Bobby. That was one of the worst storylines probably I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And that's just me watching from like Twitter. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Jeff, I'm telling you, I've never, like, I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? What did they do? I felt like Don Vito Corleone in The Godfather after Sonny got annihilated at the freaking toll booth.
Yeah.
They massacred my boy. That's exactly what I felt like.
They massacred my boy.
But, you know.
I mean, Elias was my boy, too. I loved Elias. I thought he was one of the best things that WWE had going for it.
And I think at this moment right now is the time to announce the first inductee into the F and Marks Hall of Fame, because after that shitty...
The class of 2022.
Of 2022, after the shitty storyline that he dealt with, and thusly returning to being the bearded guitar gladiator that we loved, Elias is in the F and Marks Hall of Fame. Well deserved.
Well deserved, I agree. Hopefully you can build on this.
Yes. So with that, let's get to best dressed male and female wrestlers. Or best dressed males and females, I should say. Nicole, for best dressed male, went with Rollins, and for best dressed female, she went with Rhea Ripley, because ever since Rhea Ripley started wearing the shorts, neckbeards around the world were happy or rejoiced.
Wow.
Can't argue that one.
I 100% agree with Seth Franklin Rollins being the best dressed. My wife, who is not the biggest professional wrestling fan, when they came to our area a month ago, she's like, is that dude wearing a romper?
Every time I hear it, it's funny. Every time.
And she's like, there's something about that guy. I'm like, yeah, yes. He's Seth Franklin Rollins. Thank you, Atlantic City, for that. Seth Franklin Rollins is the best dressed man. And not even close. Mansoor and Massey, no. Sorry, fellas. You wearing the tennis shorts with like clearly like blown up testicles, it doesn't work for me, dude.
But Jay,
sorry, dog.
They titillated the senses. Titillating the senses.
I'm sorry. If the fashion police came out and gave them a ticket for that, I would have been fine with that. I know Nicole would not have been fine with that, but
because their two least favorite tag teams of all time would be in the ring together.
I would love that. Fashion police are awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Best dressed female, Jay. Who do you got?
Oh, hold on.
I'm going with Bianca Belair. Okay. Bianca Belair.
Agreed. Bianca 1 is my best dressed woman. Jeff, what do you got?
For best dressed man, you go with Johnny Gargano because he puts the city of Cleveland on his trunks.
Yeah!
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 And for best dressed woman, it's more like the best undressed woman. It's Mandy Rose.
Ooh, nicely played. Now, so Jay, I have a question.
What is
it? I know
it?
that when we do the good and bad and brainless, we have come to the conclusion that nobody is the exception to the rule in regards to good, bad, and brainless. Does that include marquee awards?
Nobody's the exception to the rule.
Okay,
yeah, I'll go with that.
All right, good.
All right, Tim's going with Liv Morgan with the best dressed woman. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that choice. Nothing wrong.
Jay, I got to tell you,
choice.
I'll tell you right now, Jay, because this is great. Because during the pre-show red carpet award ceremony, Cousin Chris won the Jim Cornette Humanitarian Award for the Marquee Awards. So it's kind of nice to have another family member of mine win a Marquee Award. As Cousin Jay, I am giving you my award for Best Dressed Male of 2022.
Why is your product?
Thank you.
Jay, I'm telling you right now, you with the Hawaiian shirts and the hat, you have stepped it up. You have been the best dressed. You make me look like a bum every single time I do this podcast, and I couldn't be happier because I would not
need you to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Jay, you are my best dressed male for this year of 2022.
All right. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I thank the Brainless One. I thank all of you. I thank God. And it's great. I'm glad to be a one-time Markie Award winner. And maybe I could do it again someday.
Yay! We did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 3 Markie Awards from the podcast. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 3 more trophies than in the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame.
They're losing to the 49ers. You know that, right?
I don't care. As long as somebody loses, as long as somebody beats the Eagles, I don't care. Sorry.
And the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, man.
I like that shit, man.
All right. What about worst match of the year? Jay, would you like to start? What is
I have to recuse myself from this one. I didn't see anything that really...
Did you watch WrestleMania this year? There's a match for you.
Oh God.
Yeah. In night 2, there's 100% a match for you. Yeah.
It's
so I had
bitched about it when I watched it, but I can't remember it right now.
I have 3 matches that I have nominated for worst match of the year.
Okay.
My first nominee for worst match of the year is Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee.
Yep.
Was this the one we're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
My second.
So bad, I forgot it happened.
My second nominee for worst match of the year is Omos versus Commander Aziz.
Oh God.
That's awful.
Oh God. Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi Blackheart.
And that, Tim, thank you very much. That is my third nominee for worst match of the year.
Ronda Rousey.
Rousey. Oh God. Did you like?
Yeah.
And drum roll, please. My selection for worst match of the year is Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon, second night of WrestleMania 38. Pat, nothing against you, bro. You had a bad dancing partner. Vince McMahon couldn't even take like the worst stunner ever was the first
one. I remember. Oh my God.
The second worst stunner Vince ever took was the last one he took. Jesus. Quite honestly, you might be able to reverse those two. You might be able to say that the last stunner was the worst one, and the first one.
The last stunner was the worst because, I don't even remember it happening until you guys mentioned it because I blocked it from my fucking memory. It was so terrible. Stone Cold was laughing. Stone Cold's my favorite wrestler. Stone Cold's on TV. My attention is focused on it.
Same.
He is laughing his ass off when Vince is trying to sell this shit. It's the funniest fucking thing in the world.
My favorite part was they showed Mick Foley, and I think it was his son Dewey, was recording Mick watching that match and watching Foley with tears in his eyes laughing at Vince McMahon because it was that bad.
It was awful. It was the worst stunner of all time. It was the worst stunner of all time. And that was the last time we'll ever see Vince McMahon in the ring. Thank fucking God.
I think we'll see him the night after WrestleMania because I think they're going to induct him into the Hall of Fame this year.
That's disgusting. But, okay.
Hey, I'd rather, kind of, we'll get into that another time. But
I'm in charge of the Hall of Fame now that he's gone. Does he still fucking do it? Or is it like Triple Paul? Or is he going to panel do it?
Taking the Stone Cold Stunner.
able to afford something bigger than that.
Oh, side note, that man needs to be protected at all costs.
Oh, I love Mick Foley.
Mick
Foley. One of my favorite interviews I ever did was Mick Foley.
Mick Foley is an absolute treasure.
I talked to him when I was waiting for a flight at the airport. It was great.
Yeah?
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
he called into our radio station in college and he did the interview. It was right when what's it called came out. He was doing his comedy tour. It was right when For All Mankind came out, which is about 10 years ago. I think he's due for another doc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next category. Rivalry of the year.
All right. So for me, I had several rivalries that I thought were pretty top-notch this year. I thought Seth versus Cody was a huge rivalry, 3 really good matches, and they carried that storyline for several months without it feeling like it was going on too long.
Right.
You had Becky and Bianca, who at WrestleMania finished telling a 1-year-long storyline.
Yep.
You had Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins.
Bruh.
Like that took Riddle to the next level for at least a little bit before cocaine took him to a different level.
Until he started hanging out with Michael Hayes.
I'm also going to CM Punk and the Elite.
Oh, God. Yes.
MJF and CM Punk. And finally on my list, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Those were the ones that I was considering because the McIntyre and Sheamus thing, it was like an ongoing thing over and over and over and over again, but it wasn't necessarily something that played out on TV every week.
Right.
They would have a few weeks, then they'd have a match, and then something would come up where it's like going, hey, we need to have this qualifying match for an Intercontinental Championship. Oh, yeah. Let's put Drew in, it was off the charts.
Yeah.
Sheamus and Gunther was a great rivalry, but part of me wanted to have something with a little bit more longevity to it. So that was definitely part of what I had going into it. And I think in the end, for me, I've got to go with MJF and CM Punk.
Okay.
Just because the promos that they cut against each other were ridiculous. Their first match was pretty good. Their dog collar match was holy shit. So, they kept that storyline going for a bit. They had, a couple of really freaking good matches. So I'm going with MJF and CM Punk for my rivalry of the year.
Okay. Nicole went with MJF and Wardlow. She thought that whole storyline, the way that they told it, and the way that it finished with MJF getting the symphony of power bombs from Wardlow, which, by the way, was still my favorite match from Double or Nothing. Was
you love MJF the squashes?
Because I called it too. I said that's the only way you could do it is you have Wardlow go out there and power bomb fucking MJF to hell. That's it. And he did, and it was great, and I loved it. Watched it at least 30 times.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with. I know I completely fucking dunked on them earlier, but I mean CM Punk versus the Elite because it was real. Yeah. I mean, you can't. Nothing in wrestling. Tales from the Territories is out, and Dark Side of the Ring and shit. This is something that will be told on a show like that.
Oh, absolutely.
In at least a decade, maybe 20 years.
Maybe less.
So maybe less than that. Maybe like in 3 years. Discovery Plus is a thing soon for AEW probably. So,
Right.
And
this is
there's gonna be a lot of content coming out of this for years, years and years and years. This is their screw job. That's what this is for them. There's gonna be a lot of lore coming out of this, and who's right and who's wrong and all that kind of shit.
And I'll tell you right now, and this is my chance to plug Tales from the Territory. I got 2 episodes left. I've blown through the first 8 episodes. Phenomenal.
That's what she said.
I fucking love that show just as much as
I watched the first one. I love the first one. I need to watch all of it.
Wait till there's just people that I have enjoyed so much. Dr. David Schultz, Abdullah the Butcher, frickin' was the World's Strongest Man?
Sullivan's on several episodes.
Ken Patera is who you're talking about.
World's Strongest Ken Patera. Thank you.
Ken Patera.
That's what I said. Ken Patera.
Yeah, Ken Patera. He was great in his. And Medusa, it's just awesome. Bret Hart, I can listen to Bret Hart talk about anything for 45 minutes.
Different for a second. I'm changing out I have to plug my phone in and my microphone's in my phone.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah.
For me, for Rivalry of the Year, I got to go with somebody. You want longevity, Jay? I'll give you longevity. This one is not only the rivalry of 2022, but you can start this rivalry all the way back to the 1980s at Madison Square Garden when Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik for the WWF Championship. And you want to talk about the pettiest man in America? This guy puts me to shame. The Iron Sheik and Hulk Hogan get my rivalry of the year for every year. Because as long as they're still here, and as long as the Iron Sheik still hates Hulk Hogan, he will forever be. It's the rivalry of forever.
He should have been at WrestleMania 38. That was the biggest missed opportunity.
If we had a biggest disappointment category, that was it. And it wasn't even going to be close.
Shocker.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah. Sound shittier now?
No, you actually sound pretty decent.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're good.
Sweet. This
All
podcast microphone was fucking worth nothing.
Okay. Worst wrestler. Nicole went with Joe Gacy. Because again, she said he's a black hole.
My hole.
My hole.
My hole.
Oh, my hole.
For me, worst wrestler was Ronda Rousey. Because like I said before, even though Dominic Mysterio has not progressed in 2 years, he has not regressed as bad as Ronda Rousey is. I hope to God when her contract's up in April, we never see her in a WWE ring again because I don't.
Again.
I don't want to see Ronda Rousey. I am done with Ronda Rousey. The experiment's over. Flush it down the fucking toilet. I'm done. Thank you.
Ronda Rousey.
Triple H, this is just as bad for you as your Sin Cara, your original Sin Cara acquisition. And that's what you're going to be remembered for.
Well, I think that's going a little too far, saying Triple H is going to be remembered for Sin Cara. I don't. Well, that barely even registers for me because he's done so much other good stuff. Specifically in the last 6 months, he has done a tremendous job of erasing the stupid shit Vince did.
Fair. The only reason I mentioned the Sin Cara thing was Triple H, when he signed Sin Cara, that he came out, this was my big international signing. He was so happy about it. He touted it, talked it all up, and it fell flat. Ronda Rousey reeked of Triple H and Stephanie. You can't tell me it did it. You can't tell me that they were the main.
Her first run, to be fair, was really good.
It was good. It
reeked more of Shane than anything. But he doesn't have any pull. So
I agree, Jay. When she first got into her, because I even said it, like when she got in the ring in that tag team match with Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie, she showed out, she balled out, she impressed me. I said, all right, let's see what she does. And she did all right.
And a year later, when they main evented WrestleMania, that triple threat match was one of the best matches on the card.
Agreed.
You know, and if she couldn't do it, like, it could have shown. I mean, she was in there with Becky and Charlotte, and they could help mask whatever deficiencies she had. But, like, yeah, like right now, it's like going, she had her kid, and she's like, I'm going to make a paycheck, and her heart ain't in it.
No, you can tell she's not in it mentally. But, again, that's why she deserves worst wrestler. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, mine's Dom Mysterio. He fucking sucks. And I hate watching it.
Okay.
So, like, that's mine. I mean, I've already, I mean, I can go all day again about it, but I've already said my piece about him, so.
I'm going to go with Shotzi here. You know, similar to what you're talking about with Ronda, you know, Shotzi seems to have regressed. You know, she would, you could tell with what she does, she is more of a sports entertainer than a wrestler.
Sure.
But the thing is, Shotzi has chosen this as her profession, like her full-time profession. Ronda was an MMA fighter, is an MMA fighter. And this is just kind of like the nightcap on the end of like a career, so she could make some more money, so she could, you know, keep her family, you know, having a life of luxury. Jefe's phone just committed suicide. But Shotzi has chosen professional wrestling as her chosen profession, and like she has just been god awful in the past year.
Okay.
And I appreciate, you know, her look and
very unique look. Yeah.
Some things about her presentation, but she just needs to step up her game in the ring. And I hope next year, you know, like if we're talking like comeback wrestler of the year, I hope that she's the name on the top of my list, because several years ago, Liv Morgan would have been on my list for worst wrestler in WWE, and she's not that anymore.
She's improved so drastically.
So,
she's one of the better ones too now.
So, all right, Chris Brown saying top dollar. That botch a couple of weeks ago was.
I love botches to make a whole bad year.
I mean, AEW is just littered with them. I mean, for being fair.
Yeah, I mean, because they're more in ring.
To be fair,
happen more. Yeah, to be fair. I mean, gonna happen more there than WWE, because WWE does the safe style of wrestling, which is the WWE style.
Marina Shafir
is a mix of styles, and that's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't hold like one botch against something.
And it could have been a lot worse with Top Dollar too.
Sure.
And this has nothing to do with the fact that he was on the Giants at one point, and I'm a Giants fan, and I'm defending him.
Well, and if you're talking botches, I mean, like, why aren't we bringing up Ridge Holland?
Oh God, yes.
I mean,
that's a
Big
very good
E's
point.
career might be over.
Yeah.
But
it's a shame.
It's a shameful thing. Lock their head or kill a man.
All right, so
I wonder
instead of
what Scott Stapp would sound like singing that.
Probably that.
Shameful thing.
Lock their hair.
It's a shameful thing with arms wide open. All right, let's go from the worst.
All right, Tim's going with Baron Corbin. Bum Corbin. Bum-ass Corbin.
Bum-ass Corbin. Motherfucking Pat McAfee stealing my gimmick, you piece of shit.
You don't mean that about McAfee.
No, I love Pat McAfee. I think he's one of the best things about WWE.
Agreed. So we're going from the worst to breakout star of 2022.
Are we going to the positive ones now? Okay.
Yes, I was trying to go back and forth from bad to worse to worse, but I kind of stacked it with the
yin and
the
yang.
good shit at the end.
Yin and yang.
So breakout star Nicole went with Sami Zayn. Her opinion on Sami Zayn has changed completely from where it was a year ago to where it is now. So she said that she's going with Sami Zayn. I was fine with
Tim's
that.
going with Mandy Rose.
I mean,
she literally broke out, made $500,000 in 1 week.
Yeah, man. Like, dude, she don't need wrestling.
No.
She don't need wrestling, man. She can.
Thanks to Mandy
She
Rose.
is an absolute. I mean, when you got it, flaunt it. I guess. I mean, like she's taking that to heart, and good for her. Good for her. For real. No, seriously, she does not need to beat her ass in the ring. I'll tell you, this guy. There's another guy. I'll tell you off camera. It has nothing to do with porn or anything, but he's done beating his ass in the ring. He has another idea for a backup plan. I'll tell you guys this off camera because I got this from somebody I know.
Okay.
So I'll tell you guys later. Maybe we'll bring it up some other time when we're together again. When we're talking about this guy.
Okay.
Who's a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But like she doesn't need. Mandy Rose does not need wrestling anymore. Does not need wrestling. She doesn't. Like, she can just be herself, look hot as hell, and good for her. She should thank her parents every single day they got together. But honestly, and she, Mandy had improved as a wrestler herself. But and good for her. She got to about as much potential as she could get.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she did it as long as she could. But in WWE's like, you can't do this. And I'm like, you let Tori Wilson get butt-ass naked in Playboy, but you're not letting her do this.
And that's what kills me the most.
Yeah, that's hypocritical.
Matt Bloom was the one who found out about the shit getting leaked, and he told Shawn Michaels, the fucking cross-eyed rat who once upon a time posed for Playgirl.
Yes. Not only did Albert do that, he was also in TNA where the focus was on the A of Trish Stratus.
Yep.
So,
and the T of Trish Stratus.
Exactly. TNA was not about Tess and Albert, I'll tell you that much. Because who's the biggest star of the three of them? Trish Stratus. So.
Yeah.
Rest
in peace, Tess. Is Tess still dead?
Yes.
Sad. Sad.
So is Mandy Rose getting your breakout start then, Jeff?
Honestly, no, because it's the woman who beat her for the NXT title, Roxanne Perez.
Okay.
I like Roxanne Perez a lot. I think her personality resonates. I think she will be great on the main roster if they use her right. I do like Roxanne Perez a lot, and she was able to finally get that, elusive title. She was the scrappy underdog. She's the female Johnny Gargano. I think that would be a good comparison. I don't think she didn't. I mean, she's still a kid. She's still very young.
21.
Well, I have a lot of hope for her. But I think she's the breakout star of the year because she is in such a high position at such a young age.
Right. And Jeff, Chris Brown wanted it to be known that Mattel is who bitched and forced her out. Hunter should have shown a set of balls and told them.
Mattel?
Don't even think about it.
Like the wrestling, who make the wrestling figures. Who gives a fuck? Their figures suck anyway. Bring back Jax.
I love your pick, Jeff. Yeah. I really do. Roxanne Perez. I think she is the future of WWE Women's Division. I think they got a couple of good young women prospects down there between her and Cora Jade. So I agree with you. Wonderful. I think that's a great choice.
Kiana James has improved a lot too.
Yeah. And for me, I remember last year, Jay, when a lot of people were saying Braun Breaker should have won breakout star last year. And I said, I understand where you're coming from. He hasn't shown me enough because he hasn't been doing it long enough. I said, let's have this conversation next year. Well, here we are next year. Braun Breaker is my breakout star.
Okay.
He has carried the NXT 2.0 era. They're bringing it back to the regular NXT. They must see something in him because not only did he win the NXT championship, he took the NXT UK championship from Tyler Bate, who I'm still waiting to hit puberty,
He would have breakout star of the year like in 2017.
Yeah, and he was like 12. But
dude, he's still a kid. It's crazy.
But here's so I had to give it to Braun Breaker because he has improved incredibly. He had great matches with Gunther. He had a great match with Solo Sikoa. He had a great match with Ilya Dragunov, JD McDonough, all these guys down at NXT. This kid, you want to talk about pillars in WWE, Braun Breaker's your kid. That's one of your guys. That is your future pillar right there. You build around him. That guy he is just, I am more and more impressed with him the more I watch him.
I mean, he has the look. He has the charisma. He has the talent. He's going to be a superstar on the main roster.
Absolutely.
Superstar.
Yeah, like superstar. Like, and not like fucking asshole carrying cross, that piece of shit. Like, I've seen comparisons between the two. There's no comparison. Braun Breaker, much better.
I agree.
Yeah.
Regardless, the best part of carrying cross. We all know that.
Yes. Double up.
Is that the Stone Cold Lager?
No, this is the Hardywood gingerbread.
Yeah.
The lager.
Yeah.
When I get up to get another one, I'll refrigerate the lager because I'm running on the Christmas sale and the gingerbread stout. So
What?
What?
All right. So breakout star of the year, like, quite honestly, I think there were a few ways I could have possibly gone here. You got somebody like Jamie Hayter out there who went from obscurity at the beginning of the year to like being AEW Women's Champion at this point.
Jamie Hayter. I do. She's
great. Very good.
You got Jade Cargill, who is undefeated, is the TBS champion.
You know
and
who she's either married to or dating? I can't remember. Cleveland Indians GOAT Brandon Phillips.
No shit.
Guardians.
Indians. For no Guardians.
Oh wait.
Hold on. Former Red Sox World Series champion Brandon Phillips?
Former Cincinnati Reds Brandon Phillips?
Yep.
What we're talking about? Yep.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
I looked that up. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
and you know what? Jade Cargill is another one that I actually thought about for breakout star because she's really improved in the ring and as a character over the last year. And I have enjoyed her. And I think she actually is somebody that Tony Khan could actually build towards in the women's division.
She's really good. And she has the look. She has the talent. She knows what the hell she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think, honestly, like, the
she could be
pretty much like Baker and Chris Statlander for a while and Tay.
Yeah.
Or whatever she calls herself. Hi, Mello. Is that what she says?
So, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking
so, like, there's a name like that out there. Also, you know, as much as we know Walter, a.k.a. Gunther, as far as being a main roster thing, he did have a breakout year.
Agreed.
Specifically, Clash at the Castle took him to another level that, like, I don't think they really saw. Vince clearly didn't see in him. Triple H saw
Vince
it.
is a fucking moron. We all know that. He's been a moron for fucking at least 15 years. So, I mean, ever since Chris Benoit did what he did, like, Vince just completely lost it. You could trace it back to then.
Right.
I mean,
another name
mainly then
out there that has broken out. He was already a star before, but now he's become a different level. MJF. MJF is really like, hey, he was a guy that everybody talked about, a great talker, this, that, and the other thing. He ended up having several incredible rivalries throughout the year and capped it off with the AEW Championship. All that being said, I am not going with any of them.
Okay.
For my breakout star of the year.
Are you going with Wheeler Yuta?
It's not a breakout star of the year. It is breakout stars of the year. The Acclaimed.
Okay,
that's fair.
That's
Acclaimed were a team early in the year, and a couple years ago, I was like, I don't like the battle rap. They suck. This, that, and the other thing, and they have now become like a fucking juggernaut. Yeah. They listened to Billy Gunn. I know you were talking before about Gunn talking about people not listening to him. They have listened to him. Billy Gunn became a thing within D-Generation X. He was already, a mid-level star before then. D-Generation X took him to a next level. The Acclaimed were kind of finding themselves, but it wasn't until they were finding themselves before Billy became part of them. But it was when Billy's sons, the Ass Boys, were going against the Acclaimed that it really, the scissor happened.
Oh yeah!
I'm going with the Acclaimed.
That's a great pick, too.
That's a great pick because the scissoring thing got over so hard.
That's what she said.
Real quick, I know Cornette in one of his episodes, I haven't heard the whole thing, he broke down the entire AEW roster and people he would work with or he sees could actually have a future and the people who he doesn't think very highly of. The Acclaim is one of the tag teams that he said that he would bring aboard because they are hard workers who bust their ass. He might not like everything about their shtick, but he said that the fact that they're hard workers and they bust their ass and they listen to the advice that they're given is why he said he would work with the Acclaimed if he was in charge of a promotion like that. So that speaks volumes too.
Yeah.
Sure.
What about
Bob?
Ooh. Yeah, what about Bob? What about Bob? What about shitbag of the year?
I mean, it has to be Vince, right? I mean, there's a lot of shitbags in wrestling, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it has to be Vince. The
Chris
fact
Brown
he came out on fucking television to his fucking theme song, did his fucking strut gimmick, fucking got on the ring welcome to SmackDown, pal, and it fucking left after the whole allegation shit. It's just I knew he was planning something different, but the shareholders told me, you say anything else but whether you're welcome to SmackDown, we're fucking kicking your ass. It was that was the most tone deaf shit. And WWE's tone deaf all the fucking time because Vince doesn't give a fuck. But the most tone deaf shit about WWE is Vince himself, and he just cannot read the room. It was embarrassing for everybody. You're lucky WWE, for whatever reason, never is mainstream anymore, because it would have been a bigger story had it still had the pull it had back in the 90s.
Agreed.
F. Mark's Hall of Famer Chris Brown mentioned that perhaps we need to change the title of this award officially to the Vince McMahon Shitbag of the Year.
I agree. I'm with them. I'm all for this. We can do a vote right now. Let's do it.
Well, to be fair, originally it was called the F. Mark's Hall of Famer Sean O. Shitbag of the Year. I just shortened it to Shitbag of the Year because, I was trying to save words. But if you guys really want to make it the Vince McMahon Shitbag of the Year award, I am totally – that's it. 2023, it'll be officially the Vince McMahon Shitbag of the Year because I also have
We'll find another word for you, Sean. Don't worry.
And Vince, it was different level stuff with him. I mean, Velveteen Dream could have been on this list. Johnny Ace, as Tim mentioned, could be on this list. I mean, there are a lot of people that did a lot of shitty things this year, but Vince McMahon, you definitely topped them all.
Well, Nicole actually has Jeff Harvey as her Shitbag of the Year.
He said, how many DUIs did he have?
2, I think.
2 DUIs this year. He needs help.
He had some public drunkenness things too.
He needed help for years, and he gets help, and then he regresses, and then he gets help again, and he regresses. He needs somehow, some way to find out what his brother did, because Matt was in a worse place than Jeff was.
He was broken
a decade ago, before that.
I know.
And if Jeff can find whatever Matt has, I mean, Jeff has a family too, and he still is like this. So he's got to figure out a way to figure out what Matt did. Matt's probably his best friend in this whole situation, and he always has been and always will be. So if he can figure out what Matt was able to harness to get his life back on track, Jeff is going to be fine. He'll be an upstanding citizen for the rest of his life. But I worry about Jeff a lot. I do.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, with Jeff, I'm just like, the trial for what recently happened hasn't happened yet, and I'm wondering if the judge is going to look at this and say, you've had enough chances. You're going to prison for a long time.
Seriously, the next time he gets anything, he might end up in literal prison.
Yeah.
State prison, not good shit. Not jail. Jail's fine. I've never been to jail or prison, but
it's
jail,
drunk tank.
I'd rather be in the county jail than the fucking prison in upstate. No.
And I'll say, and to add on to it, I know that it's because of his drinking and his problems that he has. How about his AEW debut when his brother's getting his ass kicked and his music hits and he's on his way to the ring and he's so you see the ride.
He did the dance. No, he did the dance real quick. He did it real quick. So
yeah.
It's still stupid. Your brother. Let me tell you something right now. If your brother's getting,
when I saw that, I was like, I'm done. This is the
brother's
funniest
getting your his ass kicked in the ring, and are you dancing to the ring? Jay, what did Scotty do?
Chris Brown brings up a couple of good names here. CM Punk definitely could be high on the shitbag of the year list.
Yep.
Yes. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega could be high up there on the shitbag of the year list. Yep. Sonny definitely Sonny and Ric Flair are the only ones that to me you could kind of put in the same stratosphere as Vince as far as shitbag of the year, but to me Vince really just took himself to the next level, and he just shitbagged himself to a Markie award.
And it's not even just that, Jay. The fact that he did what he did, tried to cover it up, spent all this company money to hide this shit, and he thinks that now that it's blown over, that he can come back and fuck everything up? The fuck out of here. Shitbag of the year. He earned it, and he's going to get the title of it fucking next year, too.
Who, Vince?
Yep.
He's a fucking piece of shit.
All right, so we go from the biggest shitbag to the burial of 2022.
I had fun with this one. There were several ways this could have gone. I mean, we could have gone
burial where a guy loses the match and he's buried.
I mean, there's that. There's CM Punk at Brawl Out. I mean, there's many ways you could go with this.
Oh,
I went in a completely different direction here. I am going with Triple H burying Vince McMahon for the last 6 months.
Okay.
All the people that Vince did all he could to bury Triple H because NXT was not beating Dynamite.
Wow.
And Triple H literally undid the NXT 2.0 throw-up design and said, I'm going back to what it was because this is effing stupid.
Right. There we go.
I don't like what you're effing doing with effing Austin Theory. All right, I'm going to have him lose his Money in the Bank briefcase in the dumbest way possible, and I'm going to rebuild him because it was an absolute shit show of what you did. He took what they did with poor LA Knight, Eli Drake,
Because if they're not talking about LA Knight, they ain't talking, baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit! God damn it!
But basically, all that Triple H has been doing ever since he took over after SummerSlam is like, we need to get the stupid shit Vince was doing the hell out of this.
We got to get the old man smell out.
And I'm going to go with Triple H burying Vince McMahon for his stupid booking for the last decade and a half.
I like it.
I like it too.
Nicole, go ahead, Jeff.
So a burial of the year doesn't have. You're not very specific with how I have to go with this.
No.
Normally when we say burial, it's a bad thing. To me, this is a good thing because I have a theory. This guy sucks.
It sucks.
That's 3 votes. Timmy and Chris Brown too.
The happiest ever. Like I cannot stand this fucking guy. Okay, I hate him. Even Johnny Gargano is my favorite wrestler. Could not stand him when he was with the way. Could not stand him in WWE. Could not stand him on the main roster of WWE. That's what I mean. When he lost the Money to Break briefcase, I was just like, oh my god, this is finally happening. Like, thank God. Like when he came out at what was it? The last man standing match was at Money in the Bank, right?
That was it. No, SummerSlam.
It was SummerSlam. So he comes out at SummerSlam with the freaking briefcase in a last man standing match. I'm like, what are you gonna do? How fucking stupid are you?
You wait until after the match is over and you beat down the person. Don't turn it into a triple threat last man standing match, you dumb fuck.
Hold on. So, Jeff, the question I have for you is, how many times did you watch Tyson Fury knock out fucking Austin Theory?
Oh, at least 10 times. It was great. I fucking loved it. I cannot stand that dude.
I had a feeling we were going to get a lot of Austin Theories.
When I was getting set up with WWE for these interviews, I'm probably never going to be interviewed again. But when I say this, they gave me a list of people who I can request. And Fury was on the list. I'm like, I'm not requesting him. Like, can you give me? I gave him like a bunch of names, but I did not include him because I could not control myself if I was interviewing.
I would have loved to see that interview, honestly.
With him, I didn't want to get myself in trouble.
I would have paid for you to get yourself into trouble.
I know you would have. It would have been in like beer or something. They would have paid me.
Like $50 in a case of beer. Oh boy, what a beer!
Exactly.
Max Lager.
All right, so Nicole, for her burial of the year, goes to Lacey Evans. She kind of buried herself. Though.
Yeah, good. That's kind of a good burial too.
And for me, I have a very, very special burial of the year. I know Jay knows about this, but my burial of the year, as I really wanted to go with either Theory for being a retard for cashing in the way he did, but and I could have went with Johnny Ace too. No, I am going to go with the Brainless One burying the WWE shop. I put in an order with the WWE shop over the summer, and my package got lost at FedEx. And I called WWE shop to see what they wanted to do. And instead of trying to help me, the guy wanted to argue with me and say I had to wait a week for FedEx to do this shit. And I'm like, dude, do you understand? I used to work there. And I got into an argument with the dude. And then I yelled and screamed at him and said, congratulations, you just lost a fucking customer, you piece of shit. Just give me my fucking money back for whatever you can and have a nice life, and hung up the phone.
Come on.
Not even a month later, WWE shop is no more, and they're now part of Fanatics.
Oh, that's even worse. Fanatics sucks, dude. You're better off with
DHK all the way.
I'm just saying, I'm giving it the burial of the year because I physically buried the WWE shop. Lawrence was his name, too. His name was Lawrence from the WWE shop.
Did you do like Undertaker did with AJ Styles in the OC?
Yes.
God, it was so good.
It was in the works. It was my fault, Jeff. You can't tell me otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God you did that. But, like, WWE Shop, well, I mean, the problem with WWE Shop is I'm on DHgate, so.
Well, it's funny, too. They lost the package. They told me to wait for a week. They didn't want to give me an answer. FedEx didn't want to give me – FedEx was just as useless as the WWE Shop, and I've known that for a long time. But it is what it is. And, damn it, I had my Mick Foley Cactus Jack shirt in that freaking order, and that asshole.
ProWrestlingTees.com.
I might. I will say this. I got a shirt. I got a couple of shirts from AEW off their website.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. They're unbelievable. It might be a little bit more expensive, but you're paying for that quality.
Quality's good.
Oh, my God.
My Owen Hart shirt is so good. I love my Owen Hart shirt.
My Danhausen shirt looks like it did the day I bought it.
Yeah, my Owen Hart shirt still looks the same, too. It looks great.
All right, let's see. Should we put another Hall of Famer in, Jay?
Yeah!
Yeah!
Well, I think that with this podcast, we talk about people who have input. Yes, goats. People who have done something in the wrestling business, who are goats, and have been mentioned many times on the podcast. And one of the things we mentioned a lot on the podcast is F and Mark's Hall of Famer, Clash of the Champions 13. And there was a whole bunch of goats who tried everything they could to put over this pay-per-view. And this person is not only an F and Mark's Hall of Famer now, but he's also a WWE Hall of Famer. And at some point in 2023, we'll be celebrating his 50th year anniversary in professional wrestling as none other than good old JR will be joining the F and Mark's Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Jim Ross.
He did it.
And I'll tell you, he's a GOAT. He's had memorable moments. He makes incredible mustards and barbecue sauces. I can attest to that. But
I've never had the JR's barbecue or mustard, but I've always wanted to try it.
Man, that mustard was fantastic. The barbecue sauce was too.
I'll check that out.
And the fact that he did everything he could with Paul Heyman, who will probably go in next year, to build up that show the best they could. So I applaud Jim Ross for doing everything he possibly could to make that show the best he could. All right.
You said it.
Moving along.
JR.
You said it.
You said it, Cole. Here comes the pain, Cole.
All right. Catchphrase of the year.
I mean,
as much as I want to make it a three-peat for Yeah! I went in a different direction this year.
So did I.
Scissor me.
Daddy ass.
Oh, yeah. Scissor me ass.
Daddy ass! Scissor me!
Scissor me daddy ass is Nicole's catchphrase of the year as well.
I mean, when it comes to wrestling, yeah.
Yeah!
I mean, do you think they were inspired by that South Park episode? I think they were.
It very, very, very possible. It wouldn't surprise me.
That's one of the funniest episodes of South Park of all time. Like, it's so good. So
and it's
scissor me daddy ass. He called him daddy ass because he's not Mr. Ass anymore. He's daddy ass.
Yeah.
So
and I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why I've been a fan of Anthony Bowens for a few years is that there's a lot of things that him and I like in common, as well as the fact that I actually think he's a pretty solid wrestler. And he was the guy I liked for the Acclaim when Max Caster was coming off as a douche canoe.
right.
But I like where you guys went, and I'm going to go somewhere close to that because it is Billy Gunn who is responsible for my catchphrase of the year. But it's not going to be scissor me daddy ass. It's ass boys.
Tim's going with feeling oozy.
That was a good one, too.
That's a good one, too. Feeling oozy.
Yeah. He just wasn't feeling very oozy.
Ooh, now we got a good one here.
Woo, woo, woo.
You know it.
Know it.
Oh, radio.
Pay-per-view / premium live event of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Nicole went with Forbidden Door for AEW New Japan,
Cool.
and I went with Clash at the Castle. I originally had put down WrestleMania 38, and then I remembered Vince McMahon fought Austin Theory. So I didn't have the heart to put that pay-per-view or premium live event in there because of that shit bomb. But the banger, you got Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. Even the 6-woman tag match from the Clash at the Castle were all fantastic. It was a great show. It was so well put together. And for me, the fact that it took them 30 years to finally come back to England, the crowd showed up. That crowd was hot the entire match. Everything about
entire night.
Yeah, that whole thing was just so well put together. Even when Tyson Fury was singing American Pie in the ring with Drew McIntyre at the end. I enjoyed Clash of the Castle a hell of a lot more than I thought it was going to. So it got my pay-per-view premium live event of the year.
I went back and forth between Forbidden Door, Clash at the Castle. If WrestleMania 38 ended with night 1,
Yeah.
WrestleMania 38 would have been that. Night 2 was fine, but we
Sami Zayn was
got
night 2.
Vince doing what Vince did. Tim putting in SummerSlam out there. I mean, quite honestly, if you were talking like one of the possible mark-out moments of the year for me, what was freaking Brock Lesnar with the fucking
with the tractor. Yeah.
Yeah, and lifting the ring up and
that was
like
fucking awesome.
It was.
Yeah.
What show was that? That Clash of the Castle?
That was SummerSlam.
SummerSlam.
That was
right.
I think looking at it, I think Clash at the Castle, I agree with you, Brainless One.
Okay.
Clash at the Castle, even the stuff that was not top of the card was top-notch.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had storylines that you cared about, which is interesting considering that like SummerSlam was not that far from when Clash at the Castle happened.
Right.
So they were trying to tell multiple storylines simultaneously, so that way once SummerSlam ended, you could point towards that. And if I'm remembering right, didn't they do SummerSlam in July this year?
Mm-hmm.
Was it July?
Yes.
July 29th or 30th.
Just so they could have that 4 or 5 weeks to build up to Clash at the Castle. And SummerSlam was great. I loved all the returns that ended up happening. I loved the main event and all they did with that. But Clash at the Castle with Sheamus and Gunther, with McIntyre and
Roman,
the 6-woman tag match, that there was an awful lot to really love about that show. I'm looking forward to 12 years from now when they have Clash at the Clash 13. I hope they bring out Ole Anderson to book that event.
He's like 90 years old.
He's going to be maybe even older than that, and I hope they bring back the Black Scorpion for the night.
Oh God!
And he does
Flair said that's the
a
worst
couple of magic
If Flair
tricks.
lives another 13 years, I will like be the most shocked person of all time.
I wouldn't. Ric Flair.
I mean,
dead.
Right now, the oldest human beings are him and Bobby Fish.
Yeah. So
when Christ was born,
Bobby
Fish and Flair were there.
He was one of the wise men.
They were both wise men.
And Fish and Flair were also there at the crucifixion.
Hey, actually, the 3 wise men were Bobby Fish, Ric Flair, and Joe Louis.
Joe Louis.
Joe Louis was 137 years old. 137 years old.
Tim, thank you so much for Clash 13 bringing up the Z-Man and the greatest crossbody I have ever witnessed in my life. Literally the best.
Yeah. Primetime Brian Lee's still in the corner as the Z-Man's flying into the casket that he's dead in.
Primetime Brian Lee ended up main eventing with The Undertaker at SummerSlam.
SummerSlam, what was that, 94?
94.
94, right?
He was a fake Undertaker.
Yeah, the GOAT Walter Payton was at that SummerSlam too. Sweetness. All right. What do we got next?
Man.
All right, so now we're getting to the heart of the categories. This is the big ones coming up.
Yeah.
Wrestler of the Year, male and female. Nicole, for male wrestler, she went with Seth Rollins because he has been just the MVP of it. He beat Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. He got too much into Roman's brain that I'm convinced he could actually beat Roman and it would make sense. He made Cody Rhodes look great for 3 straight pay-per-views. That whole build-up that he had was very good, leading up even to when he was dancing on Vince's desk before WrestleMania. Him and Riddle, and just him in Theory, him and Owen, everything he has done in 2022 has been gold. So Nicole said that because of the fact that he has been the workhorse of WWE, she's going with Seth Rollins. And for her female, she's going with Bianca Belair because she's had the best story of 2022, going from where she was, winning the Royal Rumble this year, main eventing against Becky Lynch, getting over that hump after the embarrassment at SummerSlam against Becky the year prior when Becky beat her in 26 seconds.
Right.
To now being, and I'm telling you this right now, and I mean this full-heartedly because she's also my female wrestler of the year. And if we were predicting a pay-per-view / premium live event, not only is Bianca Belair my female wrestler of the year, she's my Stone Cold lead pipe lock for my female wrestler of the year. She is, I'm telling you right now, that's who you build around. You put the rocket on her back and you shoot her to the moon. That is your female John Cena, and you should treat her accordingly.
Treat yourself.
Absolutely, and I agree with you for female wrestler of the year. That is Bianca Belair. She has busted her ass for years to get to this point, and you can't deny it now. Like, we all know she can do this.
Yes.
We knew she could do this from the second she walked into NXT. She is a natural athlete. She has natural charisma. She has natural beauty about her, and she just knows what the hell she's doing. And she's going to be a star for years and years to come. Yep. And it's going to be great for her, and great for little girls, of color to see someone in that position.
Absolutely.
But absolutely fucking just she's fantastic. I love Bianca Belair. I think she's wonderful. Male wrestler of the year, I'm going in a different direction.
Yeah?
We're going to go with Mox. Jon Moxley, workhorse of AEW. This man, he even when he was in WWE, he was working the most matches a year.
Yeah.
Still working all the time in AEW. Overcame an addiction problem.
Canceled his vacation.
What?
Canceled his vacation.
Yeah. Came back and had
bless you.
Thank you.
A wonderful year. Best year of his career, easily. Renee is now back with him on TV. Very good for him. Jon Moxley, AEW World Champion for a lot of the year. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Okay. And to add on to the whole thing with Bianca, where you said that she is a great role model for girls.
Yeah.
My daughter is a huge Bianca Belair fan, and I couldn't be any happier than I can right now. I said for me, if it's either Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, or Bianca Belair, I would have been on board. And she picked Bianca, and she organically picked Bianca because she saw what she looked like. She loves her attires. I respect the fact that
makes her own. She makes her own
attire.
That's great.
I really, honest to goodness, I can't say enough good things about her. Yes, and I really can't say enough good things about her. So I'm sorry, I had to add that in there.
She's an absolute wonderful wrestler. She's a wonderful person. She comes off as a wonderful person. So absolutely her. She's gonna have one of the best careers of any woman in WWE history.
Agreed.
Hopefully better than fucking Charlotte Flair. That's for damn sure.
No, that's not gonna happen.
Wait. She's been gone for so long and nobody's noticed.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck about Charlotte Flair. I don't know about you guys. I don't care.
Yeah, no doubt female wrestler of the year is Bianca Belair. I mean, she just there's something magnetic about her, and just her story. She's held title for many days in 2022, and you know, in an interview that she did a couple months back, she said, you know, when I was getting out of college, like, I knew I was athletic. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life until I showed up in a wrestling ring. And the second she got into the ring, she's like, this is what I'm meant to do. And she, like you've said, like, she's a natural athlete, and she worked her butt off to get good at being a wrestler.
Yes, very good.
She still has some room to grow on the mic.
Exactly.
But beyond that, in what is it, 2 out of the last 3 WrestleManias, she could have had considered the match of the weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
She is so good. She knows what the hell she's doing. Her timing is perfect.
Yep.
She is just, like I said, the natural athleticism takes you so far in professional wrestling.
Yep.
A lot of people don't understand that nowadays. I mean, because, you know, when you guys were growing up, it was Hulk Hogan who didn't fucking have any athleticism because he sucked.
Wait a minute. Let me tell you something, brother.
The brother.
Let me tell you something, brother, as he pokes you in the chest and he doesn't mean to.
But I mean, think about Brock Lesnar. I mean,
Lesnar,
Charlotte is back. Not we speak of her and she returns.
Did we say her name 3 times like Beetlejuice?
I think we did, because I said it, and then, like, I think the 2 of you said it.
Great, Charlotte.
Who's Beetlejuice?
Charlotte.
Oh, hate her.
Charlotte.
You only know Beetlejuice because you're old.
You would have known Beetlejuice. I know.
So, but even beyond Bianca, like, I'm just gonna put out a couple of honorable mentions for me as far as female wrestlers. Jade Cargill had a great year.
Agreed.
Really grew a lot. Britt Baker had a great run. Not as good as her 2021 run, but really good run. Jamie Hayter, who I think would have been more along breakout star of the year, but, like, winning the title at the end of the year, big deal. And although she, you know, wasn't a champion, Rhea Ripley in 2022 really did have a big year. And as much as early on with the Spooky Pals storyline, when it was really shit, she was the one thing that kind of made it still feel like it was something like, okay, well, I gotta see what Rhea's doing. But now it doesn't feel as shitty, and she carried that storyline through to now, where I honestly don't feel like I need to turn off TV when the Spooky Pals are on.
Spooky Pals. Yeah, I think all those are very, very solid choices any other year. But I think Bianca was just too good of a choice this year. Who's your male wrestler, Jay?
You know, I have 4 names on my list.
Wait.
Who's it?
I had Seth Franklin Rollins. I got Sami Zayn. I got Roman Reigns, and I got Jon Moxley. And I gotta agree with El Jefe. I know Roman has had this dominant title reign that's gone on for multiple years at this point, and you know, he's chalk. It's like, it's almost like you don't want to put him up there because like, he was the superstar of the year last year, could have been it several years in a row. It's amazing that 3 of the 4 names on the list were the Shield.
Yeah.
And all of them are incredibly deserving of it. But Moxley, with carrying the brand after the shit show that was All Out, for me, was what put him over the top.
Over his wrestler of the year. I would say maybe not wrestler of the year. He's more of like most valuable wrestler. Like if
I can understand that.
Like if wrestler of the year was offensive player of the year, and most valuable wrestler was the MVP. Moxley's the MVP, no question, because he was the guy that stood up. And I agree. And for me, I think that the 4 top wrestlers in the world are Okada and any members of the 3 members of the Shield in any order, because any of them could argue that they could be 2, 3, and 4 on any given day because they're all good enough to be 2. And hell, any one of them could have been 1. But I think it's Okada, the 3 members in the Shield, and maybe Cody Rhodes.
Are you shitting me? Charlotte has now passed out her dad for 17 championships because she won another fucking championship.
What?
What championship did she win?
She won the SmackDown Women's Championship from Ronda.
What the fuck?
Wait, did that happen tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just happened.
Holy fuck, I hate her.
Something's happening.
I mean,
wait. We have a late contender for Brainless Moment of the Year.
That's funny.
Hey, to be fair. But at the same time, you give it free television.
Oh my god! It's funny because my brainless moment happened this week.
In 45 seconds.
Wow. For me, male wrestler, I think you guys hit the nail on the head with Jon Moxley. I think he was the most valuable. Roman Reigns being champion for a bajillion years at this point. Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn has won it because he went from kind of doing this conspiracy theory thing to being Intercontinental Champion to fighting Johnny Knoxville. Might not have been the most technically sound match, but it was my favorite match at WrestleMania this year. I was thoroughly entertained by Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville.
Entertained.
And I'll tell you, him getting inserted into the Bloodline storyline has carried that to a point where The Undertaker's saying, you can't make this shit up, man. He goes, this is gold. You got everybody. Jim Cornette said his favorite person to watch is Sami Zayn.
And a
guy who
hates everything.
He hates everything. He hates Kevin Owens with a passion. He said, I can't believe this guy, when I had him in Ring of Honor, he was a deaf, mute luchador. And now he's the Sami Zayn character. He is the most compelling television in professional wrestling right now.
My dog.
And to the point where I'm convinced that if they don't do this right, they're going to make the same mistake they made 9 years ago, because Sami Zayn is that white hot. And you got to strike when the iron is hot. He is the hottest wrestler in professional wrestling right now. He's Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah.
We all have good choices.
Yeah. And honestly, any other year, I would say Moxley, just because I appreciate what he did. He canceled his vacation. I think Tony Khan knows that's his 35 carries a game running back right there. You give the ball to Moxley, he's going to fucking run with it.
Hey,
that's his Nick Chubb. Yeah, that's his Nick.
Hey,
you got Chubb.
You got Chubb.
Smith doesn't do that, bum.
All right.
Only a couple categories left here.
So before we get into those categories, I think it's time to put in our next Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And I'm actually glad that he's chiming in, that he is actually in this right now, because I did say that this was a family episode because, A, 2 of my cousins have won Markie Awards, but this next inductee gets in for being follower of the Effin' Marks, and he will also join his brother in the Effin' Marks Hall of Fame. Tim Nicholas, congratulations. You are in the 2022 class Hall of Fame for the Effin' Marks.
That's my boy, Timmy!
We now have Timmy and Tommy both being Effin' Marks Hall of Famers.
Now, Teddy needs to start tuning into the podcast if he wants to,
I said the same thing to Luda, because she wants in. She's like, how come Dixie got to get in? I was like, well, Dixie did something on the podcast. What have you done other than sleep on the
That was extraordinary. Extraordinary.
What do you mean extraordinary? Jay, that was the greatest moment of 293 episodes. The greatest moment in podcast history. And it's not even close.
Ugh.
Pretty good.
All right. Match of the year.
Yeah.
Nicole, I mean, there was a lot of good matches this year. I mean, anything could have a lot stood out. Any of the matches between FTR and the Briscoes, FTR versus Aussie Open, Dax Harwood versus Will Ospreay. I mean, Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy, Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns. There was a lot of great matches in 2022. But for me, there is one match that I hold very near and dear in my heart. This has been the happiest I have ever been to hand somebody a Markie Award that I am a huge fan of. I'm sorry, any other year, any of those matches would have been up for consideration, but you know, and the fans know, and the brainless wife knows, and I know. There was no way, shape, or form that Gunther and Sheamus was not going to win my Match of the Year Markie Award.
Yeah!
And not only that, the effing wife also picked Sheamus versus Gunther. But this is now the third time that Gunther, FKA Lobster Head, a careless man who can wind up dead.
The way your sins like a some kind of fun. Too many lines. Too many lines.
Oh, sorry.
These was true.
But yeah, I'm sorry. Any other year, I can't not give it to Sheamus. And this is now Gunther / Walter's third time winning Match of the Year for me on the Markie Awards. Three of the last four. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely had, I had a few matches on my list. Cody versus Seth, Hell in a Cell.
Yes.
FTR versus Briscoes, the double dog collar match. That was next level shit. Gunther versus Sheamus. And one dark horse for me, earlier in the year, Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho. They put on a fucking banger.
Yeah.
All that being said, the match I was most hyped for the whole year that I couldn't wait to see and lived up to every expectation and beyond was Gunther and Sheamus. And I have to go with that match. As much as, for spectacle, I would have said Cody and Seth. And it would have, if you wanted to put that as a package of best series of matches, you could have put that. You could have put Sheamus and McIntyre.
Right.
You could have gone a whole bunch of different ways, but the second that match was coming, I'm going, I cannot wait for this. They're going to beat the fuck out of each other, and it's going to be fucking awesome. And it lived up to that and beyond. Match of the year.
Agreed.
My match of the year is going to be out of left field, but it's not if you know me. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens, baby. It was fucking perfect. It was perfect. It was.
What?
They did.
What?
They did that so well. They picked the right person.
So good. Yeah. And because I was worried. I was very, very worried going into that match. Because, Stone Cold's my favorite wrestler of all time. I had accepted I'm never going to see him wrestle again. Never going to see him wrestle again. And I was fine with it. I was fine with it.
Fine.
Then he announced he's coming back at WrestleMania. I'm
like,
you gotta be fucking kidding me. This better not be like Bill Goldberg. This better not be like, I don't know, 55-year-old Kane and Undertaker. No, I don't need that. I need Stone Cold Steve Austin being Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that's exactly what I got. And I was so happy. It was such a good match. Kevin Owens was a perfect opponent for him. And then he came back next night in the Vince thing. But that match with Kevin Owens, it was more than satisfied. I'm good if he never wrestles again. But Stone Cold Steve Austin is still the greatest professional wrestler who has ever lived.
What?
And he proved it that day.
What?
Tim,
that was
yeah, that was a banger of a match, and Tim's pick Brock versus Roman, last man standing with the tractor at SummerSlam. That's
pretty good.
There was a lot going on with that match. I mean, I really loved that match. I loved the spectacle of it, but it definitely was heavy-handed in the booking.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, but yeah.
And Chris Brown has Cody versus Seth. I'm guessing that's the one from the Hell in a Cell that ended up being the 5-star match with the great storytelling and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Austin having another match. Yeah. And Chris Brown said that there's a really good chance Austin will probably have a match again this year. So it's very possible of happening. As long as they do it right. If they do it right and they pick the right opponent and they do it, I'm on board with it. All right. Last 2 awards.
Yeah.
So I do it like the podcast. I figure I will start with the positive, which is the good, and we will go with the mark-out moment of the year. Mark-out moment is, like the namesake, we are the effing marks. And this has been one of the poster categories of this award show. So this one's really big. This is one of the 2 big ones, I think, for us.
Huge.
So for mark-out moment of the year for Nicole, she went with Brock Lesnar with the tractor at SummerSlam. What do you guys got?
There was one thing this whole year that it could be for me. One thing. There were a ton of incredible moments in professional wrestling, but nothing could compare with a Friday evening in the summer when Vince McMahon announced his retirement.
Okay.
Wrestling has been better for it.
Yeah.
That senile old prick, the shitbag of the year, the man who now has a category named after him.
Yes,
the
he does.
Vince McMahon shitbag of the year award.
Yep.
Him retiring is my mark-out moment of the year because guess what? Stuff has gotten much better. Stuff generally makes sense now. They finish off storylines. And people who were hesitant about coming to WWE before are no longer hesitant. So, like, if Tony Khan doesn't up his game as far as what he's doing, WWE is going to get all the talent. Right. Because they're like going, I like fucking Triple H. I could deal with working for him because he actually seems like he cares. So I'm going with Vince McMahon retiring is my mark-out moment of the year. Thank you, Vince, for being such a shitbag that you needed to be forced to retire. Thank you.
Chris Brown has Cody's return at WrestleMania, and newly minted F&M Marks Hall of Famer Timmy has said when Cody Rhodes took off his robe during the Hell in a Cell match against Seth Rollins was his mark-out moment of the year.
I'm going to agree with the Cody Rhodes thing. I mean, that was a huge moment, not just in WWE, but just in professional wrestling history. His whole story where he comes back, he is gone for a long time because he wanted to spite Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon's like, "Hey, pal, you're a big enough star. I can bring you back for a lot of money." Like Cody Rhodes. You got to remember that. Like, Cody Rhodes was brought back when Vince was still in charge.
Yep.
If Hunter was still in charge, he probably would have been brought back.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think but like, not the way Vince had so much respect for what he had done in AEW, because Vince saw AEW as a stronger product than NXT, so he was probably like, hey pal, you're doing better than my son-in-law, my shithead son-in-law. Welcome here. So I think having Cody in WWE, when his music hit at WrestleMania, like that was like when it reminded me of when AJ was in the Royal Rumble.
2016.
2016. It reminded me of Jericho.
Yep.
When he debuted in WWE. Like, that was a big moment, not just for Cody Rhodes, not just for Vince McMahon, not just for Triple H, for all of professional wrestling. And it just goes to show the door is never truly closed as long as you're not a fucking like racist or sexist or a fucking rapist or something.
Right.
Or you were bullied.
Starting this again. And it's funny too, Chris Brown, because that was his biggest hard no was I am not coming back in Stardust. As much as
that's exactly right. Like you gotta remember Stardust. Like that was one of the worst possible things.
I was a fan of Stardust, and I thought
I like Stardust too. I think Cody made it work, but it wasn't just
right. And I will
to
say
be
this.
fair.
To be fair.
Dashing Cody Rhodes still cracks me up.
Oh, I love this.
When he got the broken nose from Rey Mysterio, and then when he started wearing the paper bag, I mean, so good. Yeah. So good.
And Jay, for mark out moment, I agree. There was a lot of returns. There was a lot of things that could have happened this year. Could have got my mark out moment. Cody Rhodes' return at WrestleMania. I still get goosebumps whenever I watch it. It was such a great moment. The return of Steve Austin at WrestleMania could have warranted mark out moment of the year this year.
What?
CM Punk winning the AEW championship. The return of Bray Wyatt at Extreme Rules. I was always giving for all that. It doesn't matter. There was only one thing that stood out for me this year because of everything that happened earlier this year. And thank God for Triple H, because the return of Elias was my mark out moment of the year. To the point I was so happy about Elias's return, that next episode I immediately threw him into the Hall of Fame because I said, if he came out just like Andy Dufresne in The Shawshank Redemption, he was saddled with 300 yards of shit and came out the other end smelling like Elias. First, hello, I am Elias. When he came back, I am Elias. It was like the SpongeBob in the It was like SpongeBob in the SpongeBob movie when he thinks he won the manager of the second Krusty Krab and he's freaking out. That was my reaction when Elias came out at Monday Night.
Bald. What?
Bob.
All right. Well, before we get to the last award, I think we should put in our last Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And this is our headlining. This is our headliner for the F and Marks Hall of Famer. He is a GOAT. He gets mentioned quite a bit on this podcast.
Nick.
He is He is one of the, I think he's the only person I know of who wrestled at Starrcade. He wrestled at WrestleMania. He wrestled at Bound for Glory. And he wrestled at Double or Nothing. And if I'm not mistaken, he might have wrestled at some of the big Japan shows too. Jay, you would definitely know that more than I would.
I definitely he did some big Japan shows, but I don't think he specifically was it like Wrestle Kingdom or anything like that.
Wait, is it Jeff Jarrett?
No, hell no. No, Jeff Jarrett. Hey, Jeff Jarrett won his award. He got the most booked wrestler to never earn a dime in their life award.
But to be fair, I mean,
this guy is.
He also was in a Hall of Fame worthy. We can't even call it premium live event. Like it was on TBS back in the day, back in like 1990.
The man, the myth, and the final inductee in the F and Marks 2022 Hall of Fame class, the icon. This is Sting! I don't got the Gary Michael competitor in me. I wish I did,
Honestly,
but I don't got it today.
Sting has had one of the most legendary careers in professional wrestling. He is still going pretty strong at age 63. He's as old as my mom. My mom's a little bit older than him. Mom. But he's still going strong, and he's no signs of slowing down. Obviously, it's changed a little bit over the years, but this man is a professional wrestler, true and true, and he will probably drop dead in the ring one day.
No, he's not Ric Flair.
Good for him.
So, Sting has said in a recent interview that he has kind of sketched out what his end game is. He says he will not have any more singles matches and says that Darby Allin will be part of his last match, and he doesn't see himself getting separated from Darby Allin. Now, whether this means Darby Allin turns on Sting, and this is the way Sting kind of exits from professional wrestling and putting Darby over as Darby becomes a heel, I guess we shall see. But, Sting has had a good run in AEW.
Yep. Well-deserved, too. Well-deserved Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah.
All right, and the final Markie Award is the Brainless Moment of 2022.
Well, I elaborated on it earlier, but it has to be the Elite versus CM Punk. It has to be. I mean, they almost killed the entire promotion with their antics. So, I mean, I already elaborated on it earlier. If you guys are just joining, go back and watch that part. Yeah. But it has to be that. It has to be. It's just absolutely ridiculous that these guys were in a business where you're supposed to put everything aside and just do it. They couldn't do it. It's embarrassing. Yeah. These guys are supposed to be top higher-ups in the company. Very, 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 very disappointing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This category for me was extremely challenging. I had several picks as far as brainless moment, and quite honestly, many of these people had brainless moments, many of them, and kind of it goes a little bit along with the lines of shitbag of the year. Like Ric Flair is high on the list.
Oh God, me, wrestling with
for brainless moments this year. I've got the Elite on here for brainless moment. I've got CM Punk, who is on here for brainless moment. I've got Matt Riddle, who's on here for brainless moment.
I can't even do the bro gimmick anymore. No.
Jeff Harvey, brainless moment. Vincent Kennedy McMahon, brainless moment. Johnny Ace,
brainless moment.
What amongst all of them is the top dog? For me this year, I have to go with Brawl Out. I have to go with CM Punk and the Elite of being the ultimate brainless moment for the year. It's like, if you've got issues with people behind the scenes, take it up with them behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Don't be a whiny little bitch. It's like, you're the top dog in the company as far as a wrestler goes. You just won the fucking championship, CM Punk.
Yeah.
Take it up with them behind closed doors and get the shit figured out. I love how you Undertakered yourself there, Jeff.
Yeah, it was like that's how hard my eyes rolled back in my head when that happened. I saw that happen. I was just like,
yeah.
So the GIF,
right? But like that moment didn't need to happen. There were several moments within this that didn't need to happen, but that one, as far as a professional wrestling standpoint goes, was the one that was like, I mean, it could have killed the company.
Yeah, easily.
And say what you will about Tony Khan, I think he kind of handled it about as well as he could. He literally just stripped everybody of the titles. The next day, didn't even mention why they were stripped of the titles, just said they were stripped of the titles and moved
Honestly, on. I agree with you. Like, people give Tony a lot of shit, but when bad shit goes down, he handles it pretty well. He handles it about as well as anyone can. Like, if this would have happened under Vince's watch, it would have been like the worst fucking thing ever.
Yeah, probably.
But like Tony knows when and where to. He's very situationally aware, in my opinion. So he may not be the best booker. He may not be the smartest booker. But at the end of the day, he's a great businessman. And that's what's going to really help AEW going forward. Yeah. Because, like I said, this could have killed the promotion. I think Tony learned a lesson here with this whole situation.
Hopefully.
So I don't think we'll ever see a repeat of this.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Wow. What's incredible was you rattled off all that, and every single one of those is worthy of being brainless for the year. And Jeff, your pick was
wait. Are you going outside of wrestling?
How about this? Not only do I have something that wasn't on this list, Nicole also has something that was not mentioned already. And it's something that we might have forgotten because of the fact that there was so much brainless shit in wrestling in 2022. The fact that somebody said, why hasn't anybody come out with a Billy Joel, we didn't start the fire for 2022 because there was that much shit that happened in 2022 in professional wrestling.
Did you?
I know that you came out with one in like 2019 or 2018 or something.
I have another musical number, but I'm not going to get to it tonight. So unfortunately, I'll save it for another time. I don't have the lyrics in front of me either. So it's on my phone, and I'm streaming on my phone. But Nicole brought up Shane McMahon at the Royal Rumble.
That very early in the year that was.
See, these year in the words get kind of tough when you go like all the way back to the beginning of the year.
But it's just funny because she brought up a good point. Shane McMahon went in there, tried fucking Christopher Columbusing the entire booking for the Royal Rumble, pissed off Brock Lesnar, and he fucked up shit so bad, he got fired by his father. She was like, yeah, Shane McMahon. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like, I completely forgot all about that.
Dude, seriously, it's been a long year in wrestling, man. It's been a long year in general, but it's been a long year in wrestling too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Jay, to answer your question, yes, I did go outside of professional wrestling for my brainless. And no, I did not give it to Kane Bloom, the general manager of the Red Sox, even though I'm still incredibly pissed off and I no longer bleed Red Sox. I don't bleed Boston red or whatever. Or my socks aren't always red right now. They're black. But, okay. Any of that stuff in wrestling could have won brainless. But my God, what happened this week might have actually taken the cake. So unless people are not aware of it, Andrew Tate is not by any way, shape, or form a good human being. No, he's a scumbag. He's a shit. Want to be influencer, want to be millionaire, want to be celebrity type of guy.
No, seriously, dude, he's like.
I know. I can't stand the fucking guy. But this was just phenomenal. He goes out on social media and says all these cars that he has to Greta Thunberg or whatever the hell. I think it's Thunberg. And he lists off all these cars and he goes, if you want a detailed list of all the cars I have, he goes, I can send it to you. She responded back with, yes, why don't you do that and send it to my email, something at littledickenergy.com. So he was so mad that she called him out for having a little dick for the cars that he made a response video with pizza talking about, I don't plan on recycling these pizza boxes. Well, somebody had noticed in the FBI that those pizza boxes were from a place in, I forget what country, Hungary? Romania.
Yeah.
And they realized he was in the country, and they arrested him because of the pizza boxes that were in the video for human trafficking.
Yeah. So
And,
funny thing about this. So there's this guy I follow on Twitter's wrestling Twitter guy, Steve, not Dr. Death.
yeah.
He tweeted when Andrew Tate tweeted the original tweet. He said, "Yeah, usually when guys call out, I've been on social media long enough to realize when guys call out teenagers on social media, it's not long before they're arrested for a certain crime, for any crime." And it was 2 days later.
I said, honest to goodness, I had something else completely written down, and then I crossed it off for my brainless moment. And it was actually
this guy got himself arrested for human trafficking because he couldn't take the fact that she said he had a little dick.
Yeah.
What a fucking asshole.
And I was actually going to give it to Vince, but then Andrew Tate happened this week.
I mean, you got that. We could have put Putin on the list.
I mean, yeah, that's little dick energy too, right?
But the fact that after he got arrested and she went out on Twitter and said, "See, that's why you people should be recycling your boxes." I was like, that's it. When she did that, add the icing on the cake, I said, done.
I absolutely respect her game. Absolutely. You go, Greta.
Yeah.
Nobel Peace Prize nominee took out this piece of shit, whatever the fuck he calls himself, alpha male or whatever. Like, fuck that guy.
That's all the categories.
Yeah.
So if you like what you've seen, whether you are a first-time watcher or a continuous fan or an F and Marks Hall of Famer, like we have a whole bunch of watching and joining us right now, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube at the letter T, the letter H, the letter E, the letter F, the letter N, MARKS, the F and Marks. If you'd like to follow and subscribe to us, we will do the same back. That has always been our
mantra, and make sure you set up notifications so that when we are live, you will be notified that we are live and join in with the conversation so you can talk about our favorite sport that we love to hate.
professional wrestling.
Yeah.
I'll be back on for the Royal Rumble show if you guys love seeing me. So
yes.
Yeah.
And now that I know that the 3-screen streaming works, we could do this even like this too,
Sure.
Jeff. Anytime you want to pop in.
Hey, man, like, so if I'm ever off on a Friday or whatever, because I work, bullshit shift.
Right.
But if I'm ever off on a Friday, I'll let you guys know, and we'll do this.
And I'm just going to throw this out there. We go live around 6:30. If there happens to be somebody who sits in the back area who possibly likes Le'Veon Bell or Nick Chubb.
You got Le'Veon.
You know what
I want to do? I want to compete with Jazz in Conversation. That's what I want to do.
Thursday evening.
But I think that's.
Shout out Tom.
I think
Love
that's.
Tom.
And honestly, if there was another person that Jeff works with who works in a former department that you used to work in, and if he were to make an appearance, I would put him just as much as I put Andy Fox in. My doppelganger gets in because he's automatically my doppelganger.
Agreed.
I refer to him as shitbag, and it's not because he's a shitbag. It honestly, with he and I, it's a term of endearment.
Yeah.
When he calls me shitbag, I call him shitbag back.
Hey, shitbag.
Hey, shitbag.
Hey, shitbag. Hey, pal.
Hey, pal.
So I think that's it, guys.
Yeah.
I think we've covered all the categories and
Yep.
everything. I don't think there's anything else.
Yep.
We have to wait.
Yep. Wait.
I think that an OG F and Marks Hall of Famer would like to add something to this.
Me?
The OG of all OGs.
Oh,
the man who has been a part of more episodes than anybody else in this podcast. This is for him. Because for 293 episodes and for 2,896 days, F and Marks Hall of Famer Curtis Axel is still alive in the 2016 Royal Rumble.
I can't even hear it because I don't know what's going on.
It's fine.
I hear it. I heard it. Yeah.
Hey, if he comes out at the Royal Rumble, that's probably going to win my mark out moment of the year for next year.
Honest to God, you know what? He's due. He's due to be back. So
this episode clocking in at 3.5 hours, not quite the 5-hour WrestleMania show, but
no.
Oh shit! It's already like 10 o'clock.
Almost.
Yeah.
So, first of all, thank you, Jeff, for coming in for episode 293.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys all.
Like when he told me it was a Markie Awards, and I had to come on.
Oh, beautiful.
This was major episodes.
This was a pleasant surprise that I wasn't expecting, so I'm gratefully appreciative of this.
I mean, Jefe, in a few short weeks, we got the Royal Rumble. In a few short weeks after that, we have episode 300.
Yep.
This is Sparta!
I will be there for, well, I don't know about 300 because it might be on a Friday night, but I will be there for the Royal Rumble episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
In person, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because, you know, I'm off.
Yeah.
That should be an off week, right? That should be an off week for football, too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Should be the week between the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship.
That's how they roll.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm all about it.
All right, so for episode 293 of the F and Marks podcast,
I'm Jay. He is.
I'm El Jefe.
And I am the Brainless One. Make sure you mark out.
With your guac out. See you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah!
Yeah!
Later, guys.
See ya.
Later, guys.